Well, hello and welcome everybody, and welcome to another Northeast Ham Radio.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
good evening, guys.
Yes, good evening, my friends and everybody in the chat. Things are alive and well going in our chat right now. But hey, if this is the first time you've been alerted to hanging out with us, welcome. We appreciate you hanging out and joining the chat and being part of the fun. So, for those that might be just tuning in for the first time, what's this Northeast Ham Radio stuff we're talking about here? Well, I think, we might be a dedicated, maybe some say committed, bunch of ham radio content creators. We're aficionados. We love to talk about ham radio. Unlike many other shows out there that kind of go left or right of that idea, we like to stay right in the middle lane there and take up as much space as we possibly can. So with that, guys, how is everybody doing? How are we all doing?
Doing great. Life is good. It's good to be in the Northeast. Me being a North Carolina kind of guy. I love being up here with you guys. You guys are awesome, and thanks for letting me kind of come in and be part of the Northeast. Kind of hanging in the clique, being the new kid, man. I appreciate it. I don't have to sit at the lunch table by myself. I appreciate you guys so much.
Well, you're repping Rhode Island for us, so we appreciate you filling the gap there, because none of us want to step in the Rhode Island side of things. So, because once you get on your shoes, you never know. But cool. Well, definitely. Thanks for hanging out with us, Walt. We appreciate you, and thanks for being part of this little crew here. So, we'll start with Mike, since he's the closest to my left. What's going on with you, man? How are you doing? What's been going on?
Contrary to my background, we don't have snow yet, believe it or not.
Liar.
It's been wild. Like in Rochester, where I am, the snow belt. It's been so mild the last couple of years. I'm pretty sure we got to pay for it soon, or whatever. But no, it's all good. I'm keeping an eye out, like some folks, for the Black Friday deals and everything, and and whatnot, and still getting adjusted to the time change and not having much sunlight. Although can't really compare, because I know our friends in Alaska get a lot worse than us down here. So, but hey, I one thing I always say when it comes to the weather, like, we got 4 seasons up here in the Northeast. You got 4 seasons, so there's always something to complain about. So it's all good.
For sure.
For sure.
Well, yeah, I guess you could add to the fact that Alaska's already got the double whammy. They've got plenty of snow, and they've got the dark. Actually, are they in their bright season now? I don't know. I have to go talk to Jeremy on that one, see where he's at. But
yeah. But before we skip to someone next, I just got to call out. We got somebody in the chat that just got their license in Canada. So congratulations, be willing. And what a time to get licensed. I got my license right before Black Friday too, and so I was able to take advantage of that when I first got my tech. Awesome. So congratulations. And from what I hear, it's not easier to get the license up there in Canada than it is down here. So congratulations.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man. That is just epic.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we'll throw a little applause in there for you as always. Keep up the great work. We love seeing new ham added to our ranks for sure. I know us over at Live Green Ham, we try to celebrate that every chance we get. So I'm sure.
He even threw his call in the chat there, so we can try and work him.
Yeah. There we go. Sweet. Cool. All right. Well, good to hear that, Mike. So over to your left, or my right in this case, the Grouch Man. How are you doing, buddy? What's going on? Obviously, YouTuber fame now. You're almost like a normal transplant over there on the Clubhouse. But what's going on, man?
It's good to be here. I've been learning new stuff and learning about what is it? Roto tooling and masking and all these new types of video things and tracking things as the frames shift. And man, it's way over my head, but I'm learning. So like ham radio always does, it makes me feel dumb, and it gives me something new to learn. So I appreciate everybody that's on my stream and everybody else's stream, and it's joining us. 32 I see is the total count, so that's fantastic. Really appreciate all the support.
Well, very good. And for a moment there, I thought you were talking about gardening before I realized you were talking about video editing. But hey, that just had to get the brain in gear there at that moment.
Rotoscoping, that's it.
That's it. Okay, I was like rototilling. I'm like, what? I don't remember that being a video editing tool, but hey, whatever. It's all good. Cool. Well, a good deal on that. Well, then, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And over to you, Marvin. What's been going on with you, buddy? You obviously got some great toys behind you, but do tell what's going on with you.
Yeah, so working with Flex now, and so it's been really busy learning that system. So that's been a lot of my days just going through that in and out. Had a really great conversation with the guy last night. Will be coming out hopefully next couple of days here. We're talking about the DX Marathon. If you're not familiar with that, you have to go check out that video coming out on my YouTube channel. I've got 87 subscribers. I'm going to try and get to 100 before end of the year. So hopefully we can get that get those numbers bumped up a little bit too to get that going. But everything's going really good, and I've got actually a brand new site coming out from Shopify, and I will be distributing private label coffee from a supplier, and it's going really well. So I should have labels next week, and we should be putting together a whole site for that. So I'm really looking forward to that, and that should be really fun. Got some coffee mugs and everything to go along with that, with the Ham Radio Guy logo on it. So that's been a really big project in the back end, working on it for about 6 months, trying to find the right supplier in the right place and everything, and the right tools. So it's gonna be cool.
Very cool. You doing like a subscription service, or you're just doing like
nope. Literally, you can go onto my Shopify site and you can order your bag of coffee, and they will drop ship it right to you. So, yeah, so pretty seamless on that side, and it's got some really good flavors coming through, and I'll have some flavors of the month going through throughout the year as well. So it should be really good.
Awesome, good deal.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. Sounds like things are definitely on a move there.
Yeah, and it's nothing better than drinking a cup of coffee and listen to a podcast. So,
or playing with your Flex, man. Come on.
Or play with your Flex. That's right. You gotta have a cup of coffee to stay awake for those 48-hour contests. I actually went through November sweeps 2 weeks ago, and I actually got sick on Sunday, so I couldn't finish playing on Sunday. Ended up in ER for about 4 hours, but I'm okay. But it was one of those things I enjoyed sweeps, but you could sit in that chair for hours and hours doing contesting, and it's like you need a good cup of coffee to keep you going. So
I have to ask a question. Did you do it for the mug, or did you just do it for the sweepstakes?
There was no mug involved. It was just
so it wasn't the one this weekend or whatever.
Nope. It was just November, the ARRL November sweeps for single sideband, but yeah, there was no mug involved there, but I did it for my own personal benefit just to try it and do it. I've never really took part in a big contest before, but it was fun. It was a good time to do it. So, any of you guys participate in any of that, the sweepstakes of the past weekend or whatever? What was the one this past weekend?
ARRL sweeps.
The sweep. And you guys playing that?
I just could not. I couldn't wrap my mind around the exchange. I was like,
thank you. I thought I was the only one on the planet that couldn't figure out that stupid syntax. I'm like, my gosh.
You know what? I love the American Radio Relay League. So I hate to say anything negative here, but that exchange is just crazy. And it really, honestly, I got on. I was thinking I'm going to work some DX and do my thing or whatever. And that sweepstakes was so prevalent, I couldn't find the frequency to get through it. And that made me cut the radio off. It drove me away. And I know for a fact there has to be a lot of new guys, some techs or whatever, that just getting into radio. They get on and like, what is this?
What the hell is this?
59H3275 da da da.
Check digit.
Yeah. So if you're on a Mac and you use like Scoom Logger, or if you're using N1MM, N3 FJP is probably the more prominent one in this category, but they will tell you pretty much everything you need in that exchange, and it literally fills it in at the bottom of your page for you. And it was like the year you were licensed in your section, and then I can't remember what the other two pieces were right offhand, but yeah, it is. I agree with the guy. I don't remember. I agree. It was a bit much, but once you figure it out, it's pretty easy just to keep going, rambling it off, and keep going.
That's true for the operator. But what about the new ham that's just got his license, turns the radio on, and hears it? He's like, I'm done. sweepstakes may have even drove someone off of ham radio. I'm going to say that.
Why do you say that?
I can't do this. I can't do this.
Now, Marvin,
Sweepstakes are killing ham radio.
I think I played in the sweeps last year, and I want to say the exchange was different. I think it was your birth year or something. Do they change it each year?
So it's your like low power, high power QRP. It's your group, and then the year you were licensed, and then
your section,
and then your section, and the first
and the word check.
Well, your check is like 95. Your precedence was like it was alpha, and then you're like whether you're number 1, number 2, or number 345 for contacts. That was your first part of the contact. So
you guys help me out. I mean, I don't even know what section I'm in right now. My regular section is Roanoke, which is Virginia.
5.
You know,
we're 5.
We're 5.
Okay. Yeah, we're 5. Right. Yeah.
Almost. CQ 8 and ITU 5, or the other way around.
That's correct.
Yeah. But AR section, no, I don't. Whatever. And not like
you're just Rhode Island's so small. It's just a section all by itself called Rhode Island. RI.
Okay. No, I love the league. I really do. But I mean, come on, guys. You guys got to clean that one up a little bit. It makes it hard.
Yeah, Jeff's got the idea there. You know, birth year, second grade teacher, blood type, and don't forget your social security number, at least the last 4 digits.
Right.
Put that over the air.
But if there's one thing that POTA did well, it's they tried to keep things simple.
Bless your heart. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I tell you what I love about POTA, being as a hunter. When you're hunting POTA, you don't even need your logbook. You just hunt, and then you go click open your POTA, hunter logbook, and the activator's got it all there for you. Just remember the frequency and the time. And then you can go back and fill in however you log later. I've done that a lot when I've been out portable on the beach, because I'll be honest with you, this is one of the hardest things to do. And fortunately, as a YouTuber, I have the video that I can go back and watch the video and fill out my logbook. But when the wind's blowing at even 8, 9, 10 miles an hour on the beach, it's sand's flying, everything's going on. I'm trying to make contacts or whatever. It's hard to log. It really is. So the
first world problem, Walt. I understand.
Yeah. Tough problem to have, I know, but whatever.
It's all good. So cool. Well, yeah, I mean, that exchange, one thing I felt really bad, and I think, Walt, you said it, that might have a few folks disappeared from ham radio, for at least got scared off, is like anytime an actual guy who was on, was it CQ, calling CQ, had to stop to explain the process, and then you get a guy be like, what was that again? I'll have to do what? Where was I? And then he'd have to look up their call, like when they actually got their ticket. So I was listening, as I was scanning the band, I ran into 3 or 4 of them, and you could tell the guys had tabs open to the FCC database so they could look up their call sign to tell them exactly what year they got their ticket.
Yeah, it was too much. It was way too much.
So.
Now, after you upload your logs and everything for the sweepstakes, how many years do you have to wait for them to post the results?
I'm not going to.
You have to upload your logs? I thought it was automatic.
That's a sore subject, because I know. Because if you're talking about winter field day and getting your scores, this year was I'll just leave it at that. Can
you automate winter field day for us, Marvin? Just so as we're just doing the activity, you can just collect all that stuff automatically and
actually,
submit it on our behalf.
Actually, I'm trying to see if I can work out a deal with World Radio League, and they can actually upload. You can upload all your stuff in real time and do a leaderboard through. It's sponsored by Ham Radio Prep, and they can actually do that. So we're looking to see if we can do a winter field day contest.
Yeah.
So.
I like that. Let's do that. That'd be way easier and way funner, especially when the fact that I know that when you're doing winter field day, you can be like, how do I stack up in the state of New Hampshire? So it'd be cool.
I know I just gave a dig to the league when it comes to the contest results and some of that, but I give a shout out to Kyle AA0Z, who he's done a lot in talking about contesting and things that can be done to improve it. And I do the VHF contests, and it's crazy to think that I'll do a contest in September and I still don't know how I did officially in the September contest, and it's 2 months later. I get that things, take some time or whatever, but some of that, there's things that could be done to improve it. But that said, I'll say, like, contesting, I think it can certainly be good, because if it encourages you to get out and try something different. I first time I did RIDI earlier this year in the winter was during like a RIDI contest, because I knew there'd be activity and stuff. And so whether you're trying a contest for some different modes or bands or something like that, it can be a good way when you're relatively new or inexperienced to, get on there when there's that activity. But it's frustrating on the flip side when it gets to be complicated with some of the logging and stuff like that.
I had a moment for a long time where I hated contesting because I was operating in Europe. Go to Europe, and plant yourself in the middle in any European country, and then get up Saturday morning, the one day you don't have to work, and cut the radio on and there's a contest going on. I think one of my videos, I remember conditions were bad or whatever. I'm like, man, I just want to make a contact. And I heard a French station calling CQ contest. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to give him the old Sierra Papa, you're 001, right? And I did that, and the guy goes, Russia only. It was a Russian contest. So that whole weekend, all the bands were wiped because it was a Russian. I was in in Poland, next door to, and not to get political, I don't care about that part. I make contacts with Russians all the time, but I wanted to work the world, and the world was trying, at least all of Europe was trying to work Russia. And here I am, basically in the same skip area that everybody was coming into Russia. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I give up. I cut the radio off. So that was one of my, I see Tim, and Tim was there. Tim, you're in Europe. We've had that moment where it's like contesting in Europe is so different than here. Fortunately, that's one of the great things of America is you don't have to worry about that. We can, you've got a contest going on, you just keep rolling. And with that said too, now I'm going to go another route. I love POTA. This is not a stab against POTA, but I remember a long time ago, on any given day, I could get on 20 meters and try to work DX. That's gone now because of POTA, man. You get on 20 meters now, and it's wall-to-wall POTA in the United States of America. So
ruining the hobby, my friend. It's ruining the hobby.
No, I love it. It's not. It's great. I'm just saying it's changing the hobby. You know what I mean? It's changing the bands.
They would have to rip POTA out of my dead cold hands before they let POTA go anywhere. I mean, I love that. It is the mode I play in all the time.
Yeah, but go back 4 or 5 years ago on 20 meters. You could get on 20 meters, let's say at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I could work South Africa or whatever. I mean, and the solar cycle was low and whatever. You could do that. I get on tomorrow I challenge you, tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, get on the 20 meter bands here in the northeastern part of the United States, and you see if you can work anything other than POTA across the United States of America. That's the way it is.
Even on an X player. It's literally no problem. Yeah, Tim, you are the most interesting man in the world. So, you got that going for you.
I don't think, and I was looking earlier, I think it's yesterday, because I didn't get a chance to go out last weekend and play radio, but I don't think that there's any contests or really anything significant this weekend or next weekend. So it should be a good time to get complaining,
but that's what the 17 and 12 meter band is all about. You know what I mean? The WARC bands are to get away from the contest. So there you go.
We had a question in the chat. How do I find the database to find when I was first licensed?
I can tell you real quick. Go to your QRZ page and hit details, and it'll show you at the bottom of details where you're at.
That's the fastest, easiest way.
Yeah.
Is that the actual original date though, or is that just the date?
That's when your last license was renewed. What it is.
Yeah. So if you want to check your real license, I think you have to go to your FCC core database, because that'll tell you when you're actually.
There's a link to that though in QRZ.
Oh yeah, right.
You can link over to your FCC database.
Oh, very cool.
Yep.
All good stuff. When I was W1 LFH, that date was 2024 for me. So it was only a 1 month old ham at that point before I got my call back. Oh, but anyway, that was another story for another day. Cool. Well, so thanks for asking. My week was, my week was pretty good here. I've been quite busy, just like Marvin there. I've been brainstorming a bit. Lift Free and Ham crew have been doing some real cool stuff. So if you're interested in you're a whiskey drinker, you should go check our channel out. There'll be some cool stuff going on there. But more so unique to us, and I know Mike has got his, or maybe he's got his on, tucked over in the corner there. I kind of had a little moment of clarity, we'll say. I don't know about you. I drive around and I look for car antennas, and I look on people's vehicles for the typical hey, is there a ham, literally parked in the same parking lot as me? And so, you always want to go over and say hello to them. You always want to tell them your call sign and, kind of give them that official nod type thing, I always maybe I should put my QSL card, on the door. And I thought that was really odd. So, I think Jason a long time ago maybe kind of came up with this idea, and I kind of snarfed it from him. But I went out and purchased a whole barnyard of these little guys here. So now you can take these little guys and place them on the car like the good old ducks do with their Jeeps. And you can now say you've been hammed and put your call sign in there. So,
I love that.
I've been placing these all around every car. I was actually driving out today, and I saw a couple of cars that I knew had ham antennas on there, and I left them with them. So hopefully we'll see that traffic. But, we got those over.
That's awesome. That's great.
It'll be a fun grassroots thing, if anything. And so, I've gotten some really.
I've got a.
Well,
I
then
don't put all mine on the dash. I have a back seat full, behind the seat, the little pouch. I probably have 50 ducks back there, and I only keep one or two on the dash. But I love. It's just so exciting. As a Jeep person, I walk out of Stop and Shop with my groceries, and I walk up, and there on the handle of my Jeep is a duck. So I can only imagine as a ham how cool that'll be. And that's awesome. Yep.
Well, now you can have a whole barnyard in the back seat of your Jeep there.
That's right. I can't wait to get a ham.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. So those of you can go check over at getham.com. Just this little thing I put together. Hopefully it will take off. If not, no big deal. It was just kind of fun thing to do for myself and keep me busy. But outside of that, I'm glad we're doing this tonight because I was looking forward to it. And so we've been kind of alluding to, at least in our thumbnail there, we're going to talk about some interesting stuff tonight. I think, if you've been maybe, not in the YouTube verse for a while and maybe coming back to Civilization, the holiday season's coming up for sure. So, before Costco really starts to take down all their XMS displays, and replace them with Easter, because we know that's coming soon, because once Thanksgiving rolls through, they'll just go right into Christmas, and then they'll be on to Easter. We're going to talk about some cool, Black Friday deals, hopefully, maybe if there's some out there. But we're going to talk about some of our favorite, radios and HTs and mobiles tonight. So we're going to debate. And the only thing I have to state is that we've got a couple of rules here, guys. So if we're going to get into it a little bit, first and foremost, the only rule that I have is that I better not hear the word field attached to any radio whatsoever, Mike, or anybody for that matter. That does not count. And, outside of that, and the only other requirement is that it can't be 3D printed, and it can't be, debuted in Japan if it's not physically in production. So those are the only two requirements. So the 1F is out, and, the official Kenwood, whatever mobile radio, is off the table there for debate, but everything else kind of goes for 2024. So we're going to talk HTs. We're going to talk about, HF gear. We're going to talk POTA, and then we're going to throw in a little bit of accessories. They could be adjacent to any of that or just in general. So, with that, I think that should spark up some very interesting conversation. I'm sure I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys bring to the table and get into that a little bit. But, so with that, who wants to kind of kick this process off here? We'll start with the HF category if we're going to go somewhere. So anybody want to pick it up first?
So you said we can't use field. Can we say beach radio?
You can use beach radio because there's no radio officially branded beach. So
I'm just being silly. There is one radio that I just got recently that I really think is bang for the buck. It would be a great. I'm sure there's going to be a Black Friday deal on it. I'm pretty sure if there isn't, and I don't want to be that guy, but you can go through me and get a $15 discount on it or whatever. It's the Radiotity, the QT80. That radio is so cool. I modded it. It gives you 15, 12, and 10. What's $299? So for the guy, for wives, if you're watching this, want to think about your ham husband that has like the great, Yaesu and Kenwood and all that, and you want to get him something that he can like go out portable with, get 15, 12, and 10 meter, 3 bands, have 80 watts, have some fun with it. I'm really digging that QT80. I think it's a cool radio. I really do. I mean, yeah, the 11 meter guys are modding it and using it in the CB world. And there's nothing wrong with that as well. But I'm right now just watching what's going on and having one myself and playing with it. I think that's a great little HF radio, one for a tech that can use it on 10 and get, I mean, right now, 80 watts on the 10 meter band you'll hear your echo when you let off the key where it went all the way around the world on certain times. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's great. It's a great radio, a lot of power, a lot of bang for the buck. So I think that's the radio. And I don't want to sound like a Radiodity commercial, but I'm kind of in one right now saying it. But that's the one radio I think Radiodity is just going to slay it this Christmas with, is that radio. You see so many videos about it out there right now. I know I've done one, if you guys have done it or not, but it's a fun radio. I think it's $299, $300 when you get all the discounts or whatever. You can get it for under $300 on Black Friday or for Christmas. To me, that is the Christmas deal of the holidays coming up right now.
Now, I get a quick question on that, Walt. I'm guessing, but I got to ask just to make sure. So that radio will do obviously sideband. Will it do FM and AM as well?
Yes.
And then can you do data CW with those or not?
It'll do CW, but the CW is kind of funky. Like you can CW with the mic, and there's a mod you can do that. And I'm saying this thing comes purely just a 10 meter radio. So, but we as hams know how to, experiment. The mod's easy. I like the video I did. All you do is open the case and just take a jumper over, click it from 1 to 2 to 2 to 3, screw it back together, and you've got, it opens up all those bands. So I love that radio. I'll be honest with you. It is my second favorite radio right now to my G90. I love you guys. I always get accused of being a member of the G90 Mafia, but I just love that little radio. And for me, I really see the difference because I've operated for the last 4 or 5 years with just 20 watts with the G90 or whatever and enjoying it or whatever. To me, I mean, it really spoiled. When you have 80 watts, you do see a difference. I'm not gonna lie, you do, and the reports and breaking pileups or whatever. And let's be honest, 6 years from now, this QT80 is going to suck because 15, 12, and 10 is not going to be.
That's what I was going to just ask.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying it. But for $299 for the next 2 years of your life, you're going to have a radio that you can just go out with and have a blast with. And
because it's 10 through 15, you don't have to worry about all the POTA-holics on 20.
Right. You can go to 12. I'll tell you another thing too. I make it no secret. I came from the CB world. I used to operate 11 meters and, I'll say it, the free bands and all that stuff. I was an 11 meter guys that finally got out of the outlaw world and got legal and got my ham license and cleaned my act up. But, that radio itself is so different than the other exports that those guys and myself used in the past, because it has you can click it into VFO mode, and like most of the export CB type 10 meter radios that go to the CB, that really they call themselves 10 meter radios, but they were built for CB. Let's don't lie. You know what I mean? But this radio, the QT80, has a VFO mode. You can click it to VFO and then just step it up and down like a regular ham transceiver. And what was Walt's CB handle, Gray Man? I'm Salty Walt. And so
come on, please, you had to ask that.
My 11 meter handle is 2 Sierra Whiskey 040. So it's 2 SW040. So it's 2 is, I don't know if you guys understand divisions in 11 meters. Each country has a division number. The United States is 2, like the UK is 26. So let's just say if I lived in England, I would be 26 Sierra Whiskey 040 or whatever. And all this the beauty of that is, we're going to go down a rabbit hole here. I got to get out of here. But the beauty of 11 meters and operating 11 meters, you make up your own call sign. How cool is that? So
I was going to say, shame on Tim for not picking up Rob's 741 video with him and Walt doing a 10 meter, and you heard Walt's handle several times mentioned on there. So, Tim, pause this video, head over to 741's channel, watch that video, and then come back.
And if you want to see me, there's a video. I'm not. God, I sound like a freaking commercial, and I always tell myself I'll never be this way. But if you want to like see me working some DX on 11 meters, totally legal with a President, 12 watts. I think it's I did it like September-ish or whatever. I did the President George FCC radio. I'm sitting on the beach talking to Jamaica, and you can hear me in there as 2 division 040 or whatever. But wow, I've gone way off track. But let's get back to the QT80, and I'll let you guys start talking. That's the radio. I'm telling you. I think that is the Christmas gift for the guys that don't have it. That is that's the way to go. I think that's a really cool deal for $299. I'm trying to talk Mike into becoming an 11 meter guy. I promised him a CB. I haven't gotten it. The problem right now is the post office where I'm at is always closed by the time I get off work. I'm going to send Mike a CB. So me and Mike and Mr. 741, we can all get on there and 2 division salty Walt there in a 040. And Mike, you got to make up a call sign. We got to get.
I know. If anyone leave a call sign for me in the chat, maybe we'll pick one out.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I got a CB in the truck.
That's my item of my Christmas item is like I said, the QT80, and I'll let you guys. I'll just sip and listen now.
Like Walt was saying, Radionity's dropped a bunch. Like I don't know. I can't think of any other really new HF radio. There's the bigger ICOM that came out, right? But
the 7760.
But as far as other HFs, like from the Yaesu announced that their field radio, but that's not going to be out till the new year. And
Vaporware.
The ICOM thing that's out of my price range, clearly. And
didn't the Zygu 60? Is it Zygu 6200 came out this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that okay?
And I think that's a great little. I think that's. Remind me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a 20-watt radio.
Nope.
And
7-watt radio.
They regressed. They went to 8 watts.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and say it from a baseball standpoint. Swing and a miss.
Yeah.
Like nope.
Yeah. Yeah. The 6200 made the 6100 look that much more better. Like it's and stuff. I think, correct me if I'm wrong. I think one of the things that we've yet to see for that though is that they were going to include, there's going to be the option to maybe do modules to add in 2 meters or VHF, UHF with the 6200 potentially.
Hadn't heard that.
It's not all band, all mode out of the box. Maybe I'm mixing it up with something else, but I think that was one of the things where there might be the potential.
Got sideband, CW, AMF, narrow FM, Digi, and wide FM.
Yeah.
So,
there's a question in here. Someone's asking me, did the Q900 fall out of my good graces? As soon as I really got my mind wrapped around the Q900 and got it working well, it didn't fall out of my good graces. I've just been so darn busy with. I got the QT80. You know what I mean? It's like I don't have time for that radio now. But that's not a bad radio. I would not recommend you run out and buy one though. How about that?
Yeah.
So the answer to that question in the chat here.
I think though that we could probably consider the G90 a new one though. The newer version of it that's out now that's selling with it's got the power poles on the back instead of that Tamiya connector. I think that's how you say it, Tamiya.
Yeah.
I know Ape was in the chat earlier. He would know. And so it's nice to have the power poles right out of the gate with that. And I think that they did some stuff with the case that you've shown, Walt, and you probably know better because you got them side by side. It's got some better ventilation and
it does. I love it.
And I don't know if you need the fan as much as you did before, but that's one of the radios I'm watching on Black Friday. I sold my first one and I miss it. And and if there's a good deal, I might end up picking it up.
I got a question in one of my videos the other day. It says, Walt, I hear the new G90 is lighter than the old G90. Can you weigh the two and tell me what the difference is? I'm like, dude, I ain't got time to go. I don't even have a scale. You know what I mean?
Is it going to be that much difference?
Feel about the same to me. You know what I mean? It's like, who asked that question? You know what I mean? I was
Yeah,
like,
I would with the G90. You shouldn't be concerned about the weight or anything. If anything, it's just a matter of the temperature. Like, is that you cooking pancakes on it, or is it all good? Like,
surely they've got
the new
specs
one
on the
is-
website.
Yeah,
the new one is way cooler. It doesn't get as hot as
Nice.
the old one. But the old one, the reason it got so hot is because the ribs were on it like a heat sink. So you're feeling the heat coming out of the radio onto the heat sink. You know, everyone was so worried about it, like it's going to get too hot. It's hot because it's doing its job. The metal. I mean, I'm a structural engineer. I mean, that metal is absorbing up the heat, and that sink is using it, to dissipate it. So, yeah.
Well, G90 was my first radio, and I know that we had a Brian mentioned earlier. He got licensed up in Canada just recently, and I think the G90 is a really good starter radio, because for me it was the money getting into the hobby, not coming from a ham family or anything. Like I had nothing, no soldering station, no coax, no antenna. I was buying everything from scratch, and so I was conscious of price. But like, you buy G90, you get that for $450 or less depending on the sales, and that's a little bit more money you have to get started. You can buy better coax, you can invest in antennas and some of those things that can really make a big difference. We always say your first radio is not going to be your last, and when you graduate, you move up to say that 100-watt radio, whatever it is. We know as hams that if something is used, we can sell it for twice what we paid. But realistically, you then have now you got a portable radio. You got an extra radio you can use to travel, regardless what you get, something for the shack, but you get a bigger radio, and then you got something else, whether you sell it or keep it and whatnot. So that's I would really love to try the FX4CR, because I've touched one, but I've never used it, and I was just blown away by how solid that felt, but how small it was too.
I want to go back to the G90 for a second, though.
Okay,
I have a couple of questions. What kind of so when I was looking for portable radios, and my price point, like when I think like price points, I'm thinking like $200 really doesn't make that much of a big dent for me, or less than $200. So like it was the difference between. When I looked at the G90, I was like, oh, I love all the features. Everyone's like, oh, I could tune a wet noodle. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like a great fit for me. And then I started looking at like, okay, if I want to get a digital, the little adapter and all of the extra accoutrement to be able to get it to, be a fully featured radio for me, was like, okay, well, I can sort of get this in the FT891, and then I get 100 watts too as well. And so that's kind of where I was like, all right, I'll just save my pennies a little bit more and, get the 891. But Mike, I understand your feeling, because like I got a chance during Support Your Parks weekend to sit in front of a G90 and on 10 meters. And I was like, wow, this is an impressive radio. Like I just walked away going, yeah, I'm going to add that to the arsenal. I mean, why not? Like if I come across a good deal with it, I'll pick one up. So, it's got an appeal, man. Like, that is kind of something that attracts me to it. But I really first out wanted the 100 watts. I didn't want to get caught.
For me, it was between that and the 891. And so there was at the time probably about a $200 price difference. Now I was going to have to get a digi rig with either one if I wanted to do digital mode. So that's, that wasn't, a factor. The tuner certainly makes it more appealing. Being a new ham, I didn't know how valuable a tuner would or would not be. But to me, I was like, okay, that's something. If I got to buy, there's another $100 I'm saving. But I think one of the things people don't talk about, because we was talking about the tuner, but you see Walt doing it a lot. And I did, because my first antenna was the Wolf River coils. The SWR sweep that's on the G90 and some of the Zygu radios, and at least ICOM has the bar chart for SWR. That's super helpful when you operate portable like I do, because I'm setting up antennas in different configurations, different locations all the time. And to be able to do that SWR sweep and see where you are, especially with an antenna like a Wolf River coil, now you're saving, another, $80 or so, not having to buy a nano VNA right away. It's not the best, but you could certainly tune a dipole or end-fed half wave if you were making your first antenna using that. And with the tuner, you know, as long as you get it ballpark, you're going to be fine. But that's a nice feature, and it's too bad that you don't see those SWR sweeps on more radios. I think that's where Yaesu has been lacking, actually.
Right.
But
I'll tell you another thing too. We haven't even mentioned on this radio that I'm the guy that owned the FT8, that owned the FX4CR. I've owned an 891. I've owned a G90. I've owned a 6100. I sold all of those other radios and kept the G90. And the one thing we haven't mentioned is the fact that the G90 has an SDR waterfall on it, which like the 891 doesn't have. And if you're new, if you're a new ham and you're searching for signals, I remember that the G90 was the first radio I had that had the waterfall on it. And I remember looking at that. It's the size of a freaking.
It's small,
piece, but I could still look. I could see things going on as a hunter, and take the VO knob and roll over to it, tune in. You know, boom, here I was, contact made, just like that. Which is for a new ham, that is money compared to like the 891 and rolling up and down and just listening or going on and looking on the
Why do you say that? Because like I always recommend to new hams, don't go buy the waterfall radio first. Go buy like a basically straight radio with the frequency, dial on it, just so you understand how to deal with contour, deal with shift, and like all those filtering. So you get familiar with that. Because once you get in front of a waterfall, it's only gravy at that point, because now you can see everything in the spectrum or the bandpass that you have already for a frequency you're on, and you can find spots or openings or whatever. But I find with my 891, when I do POTA, I just I hunt all the parks first, and then at that point the spotting page tells me where the openings are, so I just kind of find a sweet spot there. But yeah, the waterfall is great. I mean that's the one attractive thing to that G90 that makes it worth.
That's the beauty of ham radio. We all operate different. We look at things different. We do things different. Like I said, the G90 for me is perfect because I'm just an SSB guy. Like you said earlier, all the things you needed to get to do digital modes or whatever. I think when I bought my G90 brand new, the first one, I own two now. The first one I bought, I think I paid $375 for it. You can't, that was, you can't do that with any of these others. And I also heard, I think it was Tango Oscar Mike was talking about the FX4CR. I purposely went to Poland for 3 months and only took that radio. I forced myself to use that radio. That is a great radio. It really is. But I look at and it's solid. I mean, it's built well. He makes a great radio. There's nothing wrong with that radio. But after being a G90 user and then leaving my G90 home for a quarter of the year and taking that with me and forcing myself to use the FX4CR, to me the FX4CR is like you went out and bought a really nice car, but you didn't get the rim package, you didn't get the upgrade on the inside, you didn't get all of the stuff that goes with it that you get with the G90. You know what I mean? The G90 with the, the tuner, whatever. Like I said, I sold my FX4CR. Sometimes I regret it. I wish I had it just to play with. But if I had to choose between the two 20-watt radios, the G90 blows the FX4CR away. It really does.
Yeah, it's like you said, Walt, everyone's got a different operating style, and that's what the nice part about it is that there's varying radios and not all of them are the same, which is awesome.
And key on when I said to me, it does. You know what I mean? Like your operating may be different. You know what I mean? Like let's just say you want to go out on a really small package and you're operating CW and you're going to use a resonant antenna and all that stuff. That FX4CR is your radio. It's going to be excellent.
It's one thing I picked up in the beginning of this year for myself was that ICOM 705, and I've used it, half a dozen times out and about this year. And I know it didn't come out necessarily this year, but what is still a great radio, and I think it's still very popular and very well used across the board as well. And I mean, you can do a lot with that as well if you're especially out, doing FT8 or something and doing POTA. It makes it so much easier to just set it up and run with it.
If anybody wants. If anybody wants to send me a 705 or an FX4CR, to play with, I'll happily do it. Address is good on QRZ.
Dude, my FX4CR sits in the back room. You're more than welcome to come by anytime and pick it up. You're literally 5 minutes away from me. Stop complaining.
Do it, Paul. Do it. Go get it.
I know Mike likes that radio too quite a bit. So
I love it. I can't say it enough. Like, I wish that there were more all bands, all mode options out there, and whatnot, because I know in this hobby, like when you get the antennas or the radios that do everything, they do everything, but it's usually like so-so, right? And stuff. But there's things, and I like the VHF stuff. I like, getting down over 50, and to be able to do 2 meters and 440 sideband and FT8 and things like that. It's fun, but it's part of like how you learn too, and everything. So my mantra, the whole leave no band behind, like use it or lose it, and whether
Absolutely.
it's 900 megahertz or 2 meters or whatever. So I wish there was more radios with those functions built in, but ICOM did a really good job with it, and it's fantastic. I'm very curious to see the new Yaesu field radio.
You broke a rule already. You broke a rule.
I'll take a drink every time I say field.
Okay, Mike's opened Pandora's box here at the moment. We have to talk. I've reserved holding all my comments for the F1F, because I call it the one fictitious right now at this point, because it doesn't exist. It's still in FCC type acceptance. Come on, Yaesu. How long does it take to go through type acceptance these days? But I to be truthful, I'm a Yaesu diehard fan. So I'm gonna say, first and foremost, if Yaesu didn't come out with a QRP like radio like they did already, I would run out and buy a 705.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, all the features, the functionality, like everybody's talked about, it's just seamless. It freaking works. It's like, you want to have Bluetooth connectivity, you got it. You want to have, VHF, UHF with D-Star, you got it, and so all in a small little form factor package, which they freaking carried across every, pretty much new radio they got across on the line. So, Mike has no problem going from a 7760 to a 905 to a 705, because they're all the same menus and everything's kind of seamless. So I get jealous when I see that stuff. But
Mike, I do have to ask you a question. Did you happen to do the modification on the 705 from the micro USB to a USB-C?
I've been sitting on it for a few months. I have it.
It's
haven't gotten around to doing
it's
it.
actually very seamless, so it's very easy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got it right away, and I haven't done it. I don't use amps, so, and I know that's a big reason to do it. I still want to do it, but I've been kind of hesitant, but I'll get around to it this winter and stuff.
It's super easy. It takes 10 minutes tops.
But
that Neptune looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, we shouldn't knock Yaesu too much, because I mean, at the end of the day, like when it comes to the rate, these are the guys that are cranking out new menus all the time. I mean, new radios all the time. Like right now, but seriously, they
just cranked out 3 radios 2 weeks ago or last week. Or
yeah, we'll get to those VHF, UHFs in a second.
Right.
If that Yaesu menu wasn't so difficult, I probably would not have sold my 891. It is probably the reason I got rid of it.
That is the one radio that has.
Hold the train here. The 891 menu is a top-down menu. What's so difficult of it? Like, I'm curious. I always want to understand when people say it's difficult.
I'll tell you why. Because I have an Elenco DX70 that is a 100-watt radio that I can just cut on and use.
Okay, I could do the same thing with the 891.
Right there in front of me. In order to do whatever I want to do to the Yaesu, from a beginner that's never used the Yaesu, I got to print out the damn manual and look at everything and know how to go to what from here to here to here to here. It is not the Yaesu menu. Like I said, I'm not trashing the radio. I'm trashing the menu. The menu.
Okay, Walt.
Yes, for a newbie.
Here's the difference between you and I. I take the manual and just toss it off to the side, and I say, "Let's explore." So, okay, I get it.
You're somewhat right, Walt. There is the 891 of all the Yaesu radios out there. The FTDX10, the 710, whatever, any of those, the 101s, those menu systems are a lot easier in those HF radios compared to what it was in the 891. And I think that is because I'm a huge Yaesu myself, and I won't knock them. But that radio, that is probably the most difficult menu system of all the Yaesus out there. And I agree with you on that side.
When you buy it like I did, don't read anything. Take it out of the box, grab your battery and go straight to the beach when the sun's glaring and you can barely see the screen, and you hook up the battery, hook up your antenna, cut it on, and you're sitting there going, huh? You know what I mean? It's just like that really,
I'll
that's
give you
the
that.
only radio I've ever had that problem with. And now, but I learned a lesson from it. Now, like, I go out, someone was talking about the Q900 earlier. I did the same damn thing with the Q900, but yeah, it's difficult, but I just, like I said, I have an Alinco DX70. It's a 100-watt radio, and I cut that thing on. All you got to do, it's right there in front of you. There's RF gain. There's your filters. There's your, everything's right there on a knob in front of you. You don't have to go click it, click it, click it, click it, click it, click it.
So let me throw this caveat out there. Yes, all of those newer radios, like you mentioned, Walt, all have had the opportunity, I say, to get better with their menuing system. The 891 it's literally 20 years old. I mean, you go back and look when it was created. So 20 years ago, yeah, we had like menuing systems. I mean, look at our 20 years ago, that puts us like in, web version 1.0. Like, I mean, how many text websites did we have to go through scrolling? So, it's just kind of like that approach.
I understand I'm hurting people's feelings because there's so many, my friend Tim G5TM. I mean, he is to the 891 what I am to the G90. And for people that have learned and are smarter than me and actually like took the time and had the patience to learn the menu, the 891 is an absolute awesome radio. I just look at everything when I do, especially as a YouTuber, when I throw something out and promote it on YouTube, I don't want a brand new tech like
Agreed.
Just overwhelmed. And that's kind of how I feel about the 891. It is. You cannot deny the popularity of it. It's a great radio.
Oh, absolutely.
But like I said, I kind of like look at products and radios, and especially if I'm gonna feature them on my channel, I'm not so much promoting it. I'm trying to tell the people that are going to buy this thing what it's really like. And honestly, for me, the 891, if you're a long time experienced ham and you got patience and you got the time to really sit down and learn the menu system, freaking excellent radio. If you're, the guy that just wants to hurry up, get out on the air. I'm brand new to this. I want to make my first contact. Your first contact on an 891 is going to be a hell of a lot harder to do than it is going to be on some other radio, like the G90. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how I feel.
I agree, because I sat down in front of a G90 and I was like, wow, this is very easy radio to operate. I didn't even touch the menuing system for being to play on 10 meters, and I just played on 10 meters. And it was just like, I understand how to adjust the squelch and all the other stuff that I needed to, and it was pretty plain and simple. 891 was a little tough, but I love my 891 when I can turn on noise blanker in my truck and drive, and it drowns out all the RFI in the vehicle, and it's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. The 890, when you get into the features of stuff like noise reduction, whatever. Oh, I have people all the time that watch my videos and hear that G90 of mine, and they say, "Oh my God, my ears are bleeding." You know what I mean? I get it. Yeah, I get it. That is true. It's a better radio. Right. It is. There's no lie about that. I'm just saying, as far as price point and a new ham, it's a tougher radio to kind of get up and go on with.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, so anybody else have any other radios they want to throw in the ring, whether it's been around for a while or not, since we've kind of opened up Pandora's box?
Well, so Jeff brought up the 706 Mark II-G, and he said he didn't like the menu system in that, but I gotta say, like, I love my 706 Mark II-Gs. I thought the menu system was very intuitive. The only thing I had to look up with that radio as far as menus go is the secret hidden menu, where you change your frequency offsets and all that for repeaters and whatnot. But otherwise, like, everything's fairly intuitive, I feel.
Yeah. I haven't been in front of a 706, but I know when I sat in front of yours, it only took me a couple of seconds to pick it up.
So I don't think there's any other HF radios to talk about, like that were new, that really like legit came out this year, right?
Yeah, there was none. I mean, outside of the 7660, which I don't know about you. We could talk about it a little bit. I'm not privy to the details, but
it probably has a nice menu system. That's
so Jeff brought it up, and he opened it up. Flex, the 8000 series they came out with. They got the HF radios. They're probably out of most people's budgets for the most part. I mean, I think the beginning price is like $2,500 for the 8400 basic model, and then it goes all the way up to like $6,000, from there. So, they are phenomenal radios. I've had the opportunity the last month to play with one. I played with another guy's here on the channel, kind of remoted into his for a little while, but they are phenomenal radios, and they have great receive capability on them. And the capability they came out with these new flexes with everything on the SCU and everything, it's going to be incredible what they're going to do with it in the future, I think.
Marvin is going to be our, resource for all flex,
very limited.
Forward, so.
Nothing more than what's already been made public. So,
do you see that coffee cup in the background? The one that says flex on it. He's already drinking from it, constantly. So it's all good.
That's the Kool-Aid.
Well, if Flex ever drops a field radio, you know who to call, right?
Right.
I would love to see that. I don't think they would ever do that. But yeah,
I don't think they would either. But apparently, I've been talking to a couple guys, and like, people carry these out to field day, and some people have used them for flex or have used them for like POTA events. And I'm going, no, I'm not taking that radio out into the field.
I think it's going to happen, Mike. I think that'll happen. Look at the Malahit receiver, receiver. Think about that with 4G or 5G capability that you could tie into flex. And you would have it like, right, you know what I mean? Man. Like if Flex made the handheld Malahit transceiver, look, the future is bright, you know what I mean?
I mean, technically you could take your Maestro, your iPad, your laptop out to the field, and I mean, you can operate from there, even though your transmitter is not technically there. So that's probably the problem with that, doing it for POTA at least.
So let me give you a little insider baseball. So Flex has a very good front end in terms of, dealing with, overload and other things. So we have a guy in our club who's a big Flex guy. And he's like, dude, eventually we just need to all bring our Flexes because we would never have to worry about, bleed over from someone being on 10 or whatever, because the Flex is so good at filtering that crap out that, it would be an ultimate radio. But it's like bringing out like a big 4-carat diamond, having my wife bring it out in the public. It's like, I'm not going to we're going to put an armed guard with that. So, that's kind of how I look at it with my Flex, but I'd like to try it one day if, if we have a spare one lying around somewhere.
Right. No doubt. So,
but yeah, I can't wait till the Flex comes out with some of their new software enhancements that's supposed to do a lot of their supposedly improvements for, being able to do filtering and stuff like that. I love the Flex's filtering. I can't tell you how much I could just being able to turn down not having to deal with AGC any longer, but being able to filter, the whole entire band spectrum down at the lowest, audio point, and then just hear clarity and then fool around with the EQ. Just is awesome in general.
That EQ can make a world difference in your quality for transmit and receive. So
yeah, I find that, and I actually tested this out. I tweaked my EQ to be a little bit more punchy in the terms of being able to drive through a pileup at 100 watts. And once I flipped that over to transmit, I was like, wow, I'm getting into these big pileups where I normally wouldn't. So it's the proof is in the pudding, as they say. So.
It does make a difference for sure. So, but yeah, the great radios came out this year, and I think that's going to be exciting going forward. So
it is. But yeah, you hear us Flex. We want a portable radio. Come on.
I tell you what, I do a lot of these, like we're doing tonight with other people or whatever. And when we start talking radios on the European Ham Radio Show and all the others, the one thing I can say is that just like us tonight, there are a lot of radios out there to be built that need to be built that we're all asking for features that aren't built. Like just take it for what I said. If someone would take and run up against Zygu with something like the G90 and make it a 100-watt radio, if Yaesu made a little, I'm going to go ahead and say it, Eric, field radio that has a small.
If I don't hear silence, I'm going to start punching dicks.
but I think we all agree that there are so many radios that we want to be commercially built, and I kind of, in my mind, every time I sit in one of these discussions about HF radios, I see it every time. If someone would just listen to us, if someone would make a small portable 100-watt radio that was easy to use, that was 100 watts, boom, it would be great. If someone would make the SDR capabilities like Flex, but was like a little, you wouldn't have to put an armed guard around it when I walked out on the beach and the sand was blowing sideways. You know what I mean? There's so many radios that we want, and I think that's a good thing. If I just wish that the manufacturers would listen to us.
Yeah. Well,
So,
we're
I
all
don't
in
know
our
if you guys-
60s or 70s.
I don't know if you guys subscribe to Amateur Radio Weekly as a newsletter, but there was an article in there this past week talking about a commercial HF radio, and there's a whole article on it. I'll see if I can post a link to it in the channel here.
Cool. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears here because obviously, we could talk for HF forever. So let's kind of dive into our, we'll call VHF, UHF space that Mike, I'm sure has got a couple of options there that he wants to throw into the ring. And we didn't actually talk, but we'll include, say, satellite, kind of components. And so we're talking about like gigahertz band too. So, there's one radio that kind of stands out amongst all that none of us probably could afford, but all want. So, Mike, we'll start with you since, I'm sure you got a couple of, preferences or choices there you want to talk.
Yeah, let me try to add this. And it's going to go sideways.
Oh.
All right, so everybody. Well, so this
everybody
is
tilt.
Yeah,
the FT150, absolutely.
Yeah. So
yeah.
this I'm very interested in. That's the new mobile from Yaesu, and it's got the big head like the 500. So you got the built-in speakers, you got the dual VF. What you're kind of losing out on is the color display and APRS. But when I saw that, what got me really excited is, first of all, it's nice to see more of the detachable faces with the audio built in. That's just one less thing to worry about, especially if you're just running one cable, one control cable, whether it's RGA 45 or whatever, or Cat 6 or something, that you can, bury the radio in the back, in the trunk, and under the seat, wherever, and you don't have to worry about routing speakers and stuff like that. So that's nice. But I really can't help but think at some point Yaesu's got to come out with a replacement for the 857. And how cool is that going to be if you look at what they've done with the 500 and now this 150 coming out? If whatever they do to replace the 850, and this is pure speculation, but you got one of those nice control heads that you can mount mobily. You can take full advantage of everything available on the ATOS from, VHF and UHF up through 40 meters or so. You got the sound built in and everything. So again, it's speculation, but it gets me excited. It's nice to see that mobile option out there. But I'm curious about what's to come, because I can't help but think at some point they got to do a replacement for the 857. If they got the 1F coming out, that's an all band, all mode. It's kind of like, a marriage between the 1F and this, to get to a replacement for that 857. So it's going to be interesting. But this looks good, I think.
I think the 150 for me, it kind of, it's twofold. One, they're drawing upon the old way Yaesu used to have their screens, because we all remember the orange and monochrome kind of display, and so they're pulling from that, which is good. They're kind of sticking to their heritage. But the one thing that makes me super attractive, and I haven't quite, based off of looking at the description, confirmed 100%, this is a really good FM satellite radio.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And like there is everything, like you throw away all the PGM stuff and all the typical Yaesu filler that they offer for their major line that they've got across most of the board. It's got the right display, it's got VFO knobs, it's got everything. And so I'm thinking, like, for the price point, because I think they're charging somewhere around like $399 or $4 something or $419. I can't remember exactly what I saw it for it on HRO and stuff like that, but I'm thinking, and I just sold my 300 to another buddy so he could put it in his truck. But I'm thinking this would be a nice fit for my little 511 bag to do FM satellite stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
yeah, and it does have an SD card too, which is nice.
Totally awesome. Like that to me alone is
have
like
that on the 500. I don't know about the 3 or the 4s, but I know the 500 had the SD card too. So.
The 3 was the first one to have the SD card in it.
Okay.
And, so the 500 just adds it.
Yeah.
But,
so I've been paying attention to these because I got my car in the spring and I haven't installed anything in it. I've never had a mobile install. And it's something I want to do. And so I'm constantly looking to see what's out there and going back and forth, what to put in, what kind of antenna and mount, and I feel like I got a Subaru Outback, and I think a lot of the newer cars, it's definitely challenged, especially if you're not in a truck, like where you're going to put things, and if fit the radios, fit the antennas, how you're going to wire things, and like all hams, I definitely overthink things, and so it's been indecision paralysis for a while. We'll see what deals if they can push me over the. I'm starting to get a better handle on I think what I'm going to do with the antenna and the mount and stuff. But this is good to see, and then I keep thinking, oh geez, what's Kenwood gonna what's gonna be in the Kenwood mobile that we know absolutely nothing about?
They're just 3D printing their radio with no internals.
Is that gonna have? Probably, I would assume it might have APRS and D-Star. Is it going to be tri-band too?
They have to.
I know it'd be.
The only thing, I'm a little confused why Yaesu does this. Is are they these two units, the 318 and the 316? Are they replacing the 200? Is that the plan?
I think they did because the 200 is now discontinued. Yaesu show the podcast. They just did an episode on these new radios today that just got released. So go check that out on YouTube. But I don't know why they got rid of the 200 because I was kind of looking at potentially buying one of those for myself just for behind me here for 2 meters. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm not doing that. So either I have to move to the 300 or I'm going to look at that 150. So.
Because the 200 has all the features that the 500 has in terms of outside of APRS, but it has only one VFO, so you're just you're flipping between bands.
Yep, it did fusion and everything. It was a slick little radio. I've got one of them, so
yeah. But I guess they're touting this ASP option, which is basically supposed to be better audio through the interface, through the audio speaker and so forth. So it's sort of like that AESS in the 710. That's I think where they're kind of going with this whole unit is kind of adding this enhanced audio, which I don't know. Do you want to hear more static?
Yeah, and I think some of these 2-meter options too are nice if you want to, if you're looking to set up maybe a packet station or something like that at the house. Where you're going to be focused maybe just on, 2 meters primarily, WinLink, APRS, some things like that. Yaesu's usually been really good about having data ports and stuff on the back of their mobiles, VHF, UHF.
So the only one that they're really good at is the 6000, which they still have. And that one is actually, from what I understand, also compatible with, what's the other digital mode that I'm thinking of? I can't remember at the moment. That's not D-Star. I can't think of the other one. It's the open source one.
Is just analog.
Yeah, it's just analog radio. It's
just analog. It does have the packet port and stuff on the back, but
right, yeah, it's got all the features. So it interfaces M17. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's a popular radio for M17. So I don't know, there's no specs here for the 65 watt version of the 316, whether or not it's going to have that same port. It would be great if it did be at 65 watts.
They got the manual. I was looking at the manual for the 150 the other day. Yeah, I read manuals for radios I don't own. and there's a 10-pin DIN jack on the back of the 150. So I don't know if you're going to see a 10-pin or what you're going to see on these, but the 150's got a 10-pin.
The 3165 is replacing that 2980 that's been out forever. I believe that's the one, or it's the other one. It's one of those two. But they're getting rid of the 2980, and now that other, that one's going to go bye-bye, I believe. So, and
they have the 2980 and the 3100, which are the two monoband ones. So
that other one reminded me of George Foreman grill.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
But that's a great radio. I mean, was it 85 watts or something like that? It was some. Yeah, I mean, I use that for WinLink connection. That's what I was using it for.
Watts. So they've increased they went to the standardized design and then they added 5 more watts. Really, you could have added more. Make it a 100-watt radio. Come on, what's 5 more watts?
Right.
What you don't have to worry about with VHF is it's so much easier when you're on 2 meters or higher to get gain from antennas. Yeah. You start adding elements to Yagis or other things. It's a lot harder to find gain when you get into HF, but you get into HF and UHF, it's a lot easier to create gain and make up for that. So you could easily turn that 85 watts into something sick without an amplifier and just a really good antenna.
Okay, here's the chance to turn me into a Yaesu guy. What's the price point on these radios? What are we talking about? I'm gonna. All right, here's the deal, and this is serious. This is what I've always. I won't deny it. I'm ignorant when it comes to VHF and UHF. I'm an HF DXer. All I do in ham radio is get out there and try to DX on HF. But I've always had this thing that I wanted to build. I wanted to just go out and buy 2 egg beaters and put them on the top of my Jeep. And I want to bring it in, and I want to work satellites sitting on the beach, sitting in my Jeep. You know, I drive on the beach in my Jeep. So you guys tell me what I need to do and how I can do it in an economical form. And don't worry about the egg beaters. I'll build them or buy them. I want the radio. Yeah. Tell me what I need.
The FT150 is going to be the radio for that. And it's a price point right now. I see on Gig Parts for $419. Yep.
That's
good.
That's good.
And then the Yaesu 3185 is like 309, something like that. Yeah, 309. So, but the one you'd want for doing the satellites is definitely going to be that FT150. So,
all right.
And if you wait till Hamvention, you'll probably get it under 400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you what I could do under 500. So that's you already knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
I mean, technically the ICOM
2730 or something, 2370, 2730,
something like that. Yeah. Also does the VVUU. So, I mean, it's got the dual receive, dual transmit thing as well. Yep, that one right there. So you can do that one as well. And what's that, 309? So it's actually a little cheaper price point than this new FT150. Yeah. So,
but for me, honestly, I would think that the $100, the $100 difference to get and have that speaker built into the head unit,
that's huge,
might be worth considering, because if you don't already have a speaker, then you're looking at spending $20 for a speaker, maybe another $10 or something to mount it or whatever, and then you got the wires, and it's a little bit cleaner of an install,
and you got the dual option for the mic port. Yes. So the mic port's on the head or the body. So you got
right.
And you guys know me, so I want to start experimenting building egg beater antennas. So I want to know what would be friendly for when I'm like not all the way there. Yes, I'll analyze it or whatever, but I want the radio that's going to be friendly, that kind of forgives a little bit with the antenna as I build the antenna. So that's kind of what what I'm thinking right now, to go down that path. So I like to look.
Where's Mark from Halibut when you need him?
Well,
where's Smitty?
No, I like the looks of the 150 though. I'm not lying. I'm serious. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole very soon. And I, like I said, I don't, where I live in Virginia, I can sit in my living room with a UV5R, and I can look out the window and see the repeater for that's on the U.S. Naval Hospital across the harbor from me, and I can talk anywhere. It's probably been a bad thing, because it's one of the reasons why I've never really gotten a really good VHF UHF radio when I can lay back on my living room couch and talk whatever with that. But I really do, and I do know all of. It's funny, the eggnogs. Mark, I was on a stream with Mark with the European Ham Radio Show, and we talked about all these. This is exactly what I'm thinking about doing.
Well, and this is also, he's setting it up so you can transmit on it too. So
yeah. So so that's what I'm thinking. So, and like I said, I'm absolutely. This is where I am a complete noob. I want to go down that route and do that, and I think because I like, I guess it's just the DXer and the spirit of me. I kind of just like get off on the thrill of knowing that I'm going to be able to bounce something off the satellite and talk to somebody farther away than the line of sight, UHF VHF type of radio.
Now
so Walt, you're still learning stuff.
We all are. Yeah.
No, I'm in the same boat as Walt though. Like I have no problem from my car or my house, hitting the repeaters that I need to hit with an HT. So I've never really, felt the immediate need, like, oh, I got to get a real good VHF UHF base station or mobile install or anything, because it's easy to, get in and out with an HT where I am. I know that might not always be the case, and I definitely want to do something in the car and at the house at some point, but it hasn't been a priority, because I can just grab a UV5R if I need to and check into a net or call out or something.
Yeah, we didn't touch on it, but we were talking about vaporware radios, like, and Mark kind of alluded to this, and I'm just going to bring it up real quick. But maybe we can encourage Mark or create a GoFundMe. This is a picture of SOAR. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, this was Mark's attempt, and he's still working on it, to build an all-in-one satellite, both linear and FM bird radio, all in one, with tracking and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I am praying every day that he'll eventually figure out what technical issues he needs to solve, and that'll coming out, because I'm laying my money down on that one, soon. So
I'm hoping he gets in there too, because one of the hard parts about beginning this is dealing with the Doppler effect too. I talked to Mark about that as well, and man, that'd be so awesome.
He's built it in for that. I mean, it's an all-in-one. When he talked about it, I was like, oh, I want one now. And then he was like, oh, I'm having technical issues with it and struggling to work. And I was like, oh, please fix it. Please fix it. I need it. So, all right. Well, Mike alluded to H.
First.
Go ahead, Walt.
I want to get a couple of those egg beaters first, and then he can get back to his to that.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, so we kind of alluded to it. Let's talk HTs a little bit. So, I mean, obviously there are a couple that have that are out there that were within the year. I know some anniversary editions, but any of you guys got any flavors you'd like? I could throw mine in the ring here, but I'm curious to see what you guys got.
Well, top of my list is that ID52A. Maybe not the anniversary, but
it's yeah, I've been thinking about that, and I know that the 50 is not new this year. I kind of thought about that for a bit, because when the 50 came out after the 52, which makes no sense, but that's ham radio. That had the USB-C, and it's got, I think, the monochrome display, but it's got, I know Josh, Ham Radio Crash Course, and others have said, like, the battery life on the ID50 compared to like the Kenwood, the D75, and a lot of those other has been phenomenal. And then ICOM dropped this, the 52 plus and the 52 anniversary. Now that it's got a couple new minor features like USB-C and stuff, it looks good. I'm in the ICOM ecosystem. I mean, technically, I could take the battery off that and put it on the 705 and vice versa, which is nice. But the one thing, my one hang up with these that I worry about, being in the Northeast also, is that they have a battery protection circuit, I think is what it's called, that will drop transmit to 500 milliwatts if the temperature is below
I heard that
32 or so. And that to me would be very frustrating. I think about, I like to go out and do POTAs and sodas in the winter, and it might not be the HT that I'm going to bring out when it's sub-zero temperatures and I'm going up a summit or something like that. But to think that I might be restricted, unless I'm keeping it real warm in my chest and stuff, to 500 milliwatts. That's that's the only thing that gets me, because I look at my Yaesu, was it the 4XR, my first HT, and that's got no problem in the cold. The signal stick will go limp a little bit, but that still works, but I'll still get 5 watts out. So that's the only hang up I have with the, I wanna like the ICOM. I want to get it, but I worry about, being up here, in the cold where we got 4 seasons, and, being a portable operator, it may be not working like I want it to.
This is where you'd actually get me to come to the ICOM dark side. This is one radio I think I would pick up, and I almost did a impulse buy a while back before they came out with the newer version, is the anniversary edition. But like, I was looking between the 50 and the 52, and like, I looked at my FT 3DR, and the color, it doesn't have color. Well, it sort of has color. It's not really super color, but yeah, like, I was like, I don't really need the color version, because I'm not seeing a waterfall, I'm not seeing anything else like that. That I was like, I'm just going to go with the 50 because, it sounds like it might have better battery life. Does everything else the 52 does outside of being color with a few other minor options and stuff like that. That I was like, oh, I got to, a jump on it. And then lo and behold, the FX4CR came out in an opening, so I scooped that up instead. And so I haven't gone back to picking up an HD, but I struggle with HDs in general. Like, I don't know about you, but I've got 4 over here. And how many times do I go to a Hamfest and I bring an HD with me? I think once so far. I don't know about you guys.
I took one to Dayton with me, and it was just like, all it was directions and how to get in and out of the parking lot. And I'm like, I'm done.
Exactly.
My everyday carry, if I'm with a handheld, it's my Yaesu FT5DR. I think that's just a great universal across the world radio. But if I had to go pick one up today, I'd probably go pick up that Kenwood ID75. Even though I know there's a lot of complaints and issues with it from battery life, etc. as well. But it's got the Bluetooth and that GPS capability, and I mean it's easy for adapting. Another like Radio Mail has an adapter out for it now to be able to use it, and with it's just incredible little radio across the board for Kenwood. But this that price point of $479, I'm going, I'm out. It's like
where can you get it for $479? It's not $479.
No, it's like $7 something.
It's like $7.
Isn't it $649? Isn't it?
No.
That's why it's not my price point, because it's way above 400.
Yeah.
Is it the 74 or you're looking at 75A, right?
And it's got 220 on it.
Yeah, I know. It's got a lot of features. Nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just ridiculous price though.
Yeah, $699.
I'm sure you got a color screen. If you're doing APRS and stuff like that, you're gonna deplete the battery quicker. And I think it's probably similar with the 5DR. A lot of people buy those modded extended batteries and stuff for the 5DRs.
It's a beautiful radio, man.
It's a great radio, but again, that price point and just not touching it.
So. That's an $891 right there, my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let me ask you guys, because you guys are much more knowledgeable on HCs than I am. What do you gain with that price point on that radio that you can't get with a cheap Baofeng? I mean, really, what is the difference? What makes you go out and buy that radio at 10 times?
I know Paul can speak to that.
Huh?
Paul can definitely speak to that. Share your results there, my friend.
Yeah. All right. So the question you're asking, Walt, right, is a good one, because I thought the same thing for a long time. I was like, well, my Baofeng works just fine. Like, why do I need a fancy, expensive radio? Eric and I were doing I think it was scouting, or something. It was something with a community event at a local park here in town. And I had my Baofeng on the local repeater, and Eric had his Yaesu. I think it was the FT3D, right?
Yep.
And the receive difference and the transmit difference was night and day.
Really?
Yeah, and we're literally standing side by side, so it was a very good comparison of one radio to the other.
Yeah.
And yeah, so when one of those FT3Ds was offered to me at a really, really good deal, I jumped on it because it definitely made a big difference in receivability and the also the transmit quality.
That's why I asked, because I'll be honest with you, and you guys are going to laugh at me, I've kind of had my eye on that Baofeng AR152 because it looks like the ultimate Meal Team 6 radio. You know what I'm saying? It's got
right.
It's I know it's a joke or whatever, and even the fact that they named it the AR-15 with the 2 on the end of it, it's funny. But I've always wondered, just to have fun and go out with that radio with a bigger battery or whatever. What are you gaining with these better radios? So Paul, I appreciate that answer, and I'm sure, I'm not a serious VHF UHF guys. You are, and I appreciate that. I understand.
Yeah, don't get us wrong. Yeah,
what I was going to show is, so here's it's my MobiLink TNC4.
Yep.
And so with this, I can connect to the radio with Bluetooth, use my phone to do APRS and WinLink and stuff. So even this radio, I use this radio every week. So this is an ICOM IC32AT. It's from 1989.
Yeah.
It sits in my kitchen. And every Wednesday, and every Thursday, I'll plug in the TNC cable, and I'll sit there, eat my breakfast or whatever. I'll check into APRS Thursday. I'll do WinLink from my phone. And so you can take a Baofeng, you can take, any type of analog radio like this. And I just did this thing right here. Like, this just screams of my childhood tech, growing up in
that's a brick.
Like the 80s. It's just the look of it. I love the aesthetic of it. I think I might actually walk around Dayton with it.
I love it. You guys,
make sure you have a strong belt.
Tech. I'm sitting here as a 62-year-old senior citizen loving your childhood tech.
Yeah, but no, that's when you get like those the Kenwoods or the ASU, the 5DR, you're going to have some of that stuff baked in. You're going to have APRS baked in. The Kenwood, the TNC is kind of open,
way
so
better. Yeah,
you don't even need that, and you can just connect it directly to a computer, connect it to your phone, and have at it. So that's one thing Kenwood's done really well is having that TNC open, and that's actually why I'm curious about the Kenwood Mobile, because now you got a VHF UHF radio that might be stupid easy to connect to your computer and do WinLink and some digital modes with. So
I would be very surprised if Kenwood did not do something to add a TNC to that mobile. If they did, if they didn't, I would be like, what is wrong with them? Like that, that's like their bread and butter.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike, my very first radio, actually, long story short, when I got my ham ticket, I burned down my parents', I accidentally left oil on the stove, which caused the kitchen to get burned down. And so for rewarding getting all the family out of the house, my parents bought me a radio. And, that radio is this one, which is similar, radio. I had the big giant 470 on my belt. I remember how long and big that thing was, but it was a dual band. It was fun.
God, don't you guys love rig picks? I love rig
look
picks.
At that.
I go in it all the time, like looking at radios.
Beautiful radio. It was a fun radio. That Yaesu understood at that level of radio how to create a right menu system. I don't know where the heck they hired the next guys after that, but they knew how to do a menu system on that one.
Look at how close that form factor is.
It is
trying to turn it, just how it notches off on the sides here and up there too. I mean, these things are near identical.
The same,
very,
jet
very
out point, all the knobs, everything. Yeah.
But this, I don't know about that one. This one is full duplex.
Oh, wow.
It says it in the manual. I'm looking at you, Gray Man POTA. I've read the manual from 89. It is full duplex. And, it's one of the things I got to program some of the satellite stuff in there. It's one of the things I want to try with it. I didn't get around to it when the weather was nice, but I eventually I will try.
Yeah. Only one VFO on this one. Bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
I was going to say, that radio doesn't look a whole lot different than my 40 channel CB.
I know, dude.
No. We got to stop here. Paul, what is that?
So it's a realistic TRC 207.
I remember that radio. Oh my God, that's so awesome.
With their little wrist strap.
Yeah, that's epic. That's so epic.
That is.
Oh, cool. All right, well, so we've kind of touched on the HT side of things. Any other things you want to add? I know Radio Oddity came out with a few ones. Josh reviewed a few. That there was one that was sort of like a Radio Oddity knockoff that he recommended. Do you guys remember? It was a VHQ or something like that. I can't remember what that radio was. That one actually caught my eye because that had APRS and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple versions of that. So there's Radio Oddity has one, B-Tech has one, and then some other company with the VGC. Thank you,
Jeff.
I'll have that, and I've seen good reviews from Josh, from TO, a couple others. It's interesting. I think it's like, $100 and something. It's not going to be cheap, but it's, for under $200 to get a lot of that functionality, that's not bad to have all that in there.
You look like a radio that I recommend that I was going to mention was the FT65. I mean, that is a stupid easy radio. Well, the menuing system sucks in it, but the radio itself is a stupid, easy radio to be able to put on your belt and does exactly what you need it to do, but it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. Then, I was looking at that going, oh man, I could have APRS. I could have all of these features and it's all open. And I was like, I'm starting to think, I need a Chinese radio in my stable here.
Yeah. Now I'm more biased to the 4XR. I got the 4XR instead of the 65 when I got my first radio. And the reason I did, and again, here goes, I read the manual, is that what the 4X does surprisingly that the 65 doesn't, and I don't know why, is it will allow split memory operation. So you can it's not going to be full duplex, but you can do a split memory where you can have the uplink and the downlink for the ISS, for example. One's on VHF, one's on UHF, and you can put that into memory like that easily, and you can operate the VFO with split. And so whether it's with satellites or just if you're in an area where they have non-traditional offsets or something like that, a lot easier. But yeah, it's surprising that they do that with the 4XR, but not the 65.
It's cool that you said that, because I was like, moving, and this is going to be the next rabbit hole I go down in ham radio, is that I want to build, like I bought the Comet satellite, stick, whatever, Yagi or whatever, and I haven't even put it together yet, but I kind of want a radio where I can like build and experiment with different antennas like that, maybe a tape measure antenna or whatever, from an HT standpoint, that I could just, run it. It's full duplex. I can like play around. Yeah, this one's a fail or whatever. I can start researching. You guys know me, I'm an antenna guy. I was kind of thinking that same standpoint. Have you guys ever, any of you guys ever built an antenna for an HT, like off the wall, a wire or whatever?
I did a 2-element tape measure Yagi for the June. I think it was the June or the September VHF contest. I built it this summer, just with spare PVC and tape measure, and it was for 220. But just a simple 2-element.
There you go.
Because that's all I had enough for. And that worked out great. I got plenty of contacts on it, using it with the HT, and it was neat to see turning it, because a lot of people in the VHF contests, even though you're on VHF, and they might be on FM, they're still running horizontal because they got big beams and stuff, at their QTH, and everything's horizontal. So that's why I built that Yagi for 220, because I have a J-pole, but the J-pole is vertical. So you're losing a couple S units with cross polarization, and just holding that and being able to turn it, you could hear the difference in the signal drop. It's like, wow,
well,
like this is real. Like
I went up on I guess it's been about 3 years ago. I went up on a skyscraper at the top of New York City, all the way to the top, and I snuck a Baofeng up there.
Yes, I remember that.
Well, when I was talking, I noticed that vertical, I couldn't make a contact, but when I turned just the little rubber antenna on the Baofeng and turned it sideways, everything opened up. You know what I mean? It was kind of crazy how that, that just with that little, lack of a better word, half arse antenna, you know what I mean? Like doing it that way, whatever. It was amazing. Like you just said, it was amazing the difference I heard from vertical to horizontal. It was a lesson learned for me. It was really cool.
Yep.
Good stuff.
You were asking about like one other additional, kind of stuff is like it's more GMRS instead of ham radio related, but it's the HA1G from Redivus. It's an IP67 rated radio, and it's all programmed for GMRS. And I picked up my GMRS license this year, and especially after Helene and Milton, and it's kind of a handy little thing to have. And I mean, they're $29 on sale right now from Amazon. And it says $29 is a Black Friday deal, but it's a phenomenal little radio across the board. I mean, you stick it in a bucket of water. I mean, it's solid. So, if you need to hand it off to somebody, whatever else, it only does GMRS, but I mean, not a bad little radio across the board. But it came out this year. It's pretty phenomenal.
It's pretty rugged. Yeah,
it is.
And it's USB-C.
It is USB-C. Yes.
So that's like the buzzword of the 21st century. Everything's got to be USB-C.
Absolutely. Let's go down that road for sure.
Oh God, don't get me going. We'll rope HDMI into that one too. All right. Well, so kind of get the direction here a little bit. So we've definitely been touching a little bit on satellite here, but I want to dive into the accessories a bit. But so from a satellite perspective, any of you guys have any interest in the 905? I mean, obviously the price ticket on that 905 is through the roof. I mean, it's crazy, stupid, and all the things you'd have to get involved in. But I applaud ICOM for being able to come out with a unit that literally is pretty much turnkey.
Yep. And where I am in Western New York and then Southern Ontario, Canada, there are a ton of VHF and microwave enthusiasts. And, I went to my local VHF club in the summer, did a microwave day, and they were out there on, 10 gigs, 78 gigs, whatever. And almost all these guys are running 705s with transverters and stuff. And I talked to a couple of them there, and they'll tell you what it takes to, everything that you got to buy to add on to a 705 to get that into the microwave space. It's just so much easier to buy in the 905. I would absolutely love to have get my hands and dabble in one of those. That'd be neat. And hats off to ICOM for doing that, because I know that's a really small, niche, nerdy space to be in. But that said, I've heard nothing but fantastic things about it. And if you want to be playing up on those bands, 705 or the even better, the 905 is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm really interested in satellites, and the reason being is I'm an old guy. I'm a boomer. I'm the only boomer here probably, but I grew up with the excitement of HF radio and skip and all that stuff. And then as I kind of become a ham or whatever, I look at it like the VHF UHF thing just really doesn't excite me. But the fact of being able to hit a satellite does. I'm sure there's a lot of hams that are in that same boat. You guys got to remember, I was 7 years old watching it on TV when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. So for me to see the whole, satellites kind of equals space, you know what I mean? And that whole thing is that's really where I want to go with it. So, I as we talked earlier, it's kind of like new hams. There are even old guys that are becoming new hams. I think this is another aspect of ham radio, especially for a new tech that really can't do much with HF. I think the satellite thing, you were talking about accessories. I'm excited about the accessory side of this and what's available to work satellites.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, the 905 has definitely, we'll say, opened up the game a little bit more. For me, satellite and even microwave stuff always used to be kind of mysterious. It's those guys over there, let them do their thing, and maybe I'll get to that part of the hobby someday when I get a little older. And now it's 905 has just kind of said, hey, you can get into the game. I mean, if you've got some money, you can definitely, afford to pay for, decent equipment. You could start doing contacts. So, there's definitely an improvement there, I think. And Yaesu and others, especially even the Chinese market, I think they should start to kind of open that up space wise and get some of, the price point down on that stuff, because it is a little expensive, but the homebrew community's done it, pretty cheaply. Yeah. Let's amp the game up this year, guys, going into 2025 for sure.
Yeah. The satellites were on my list of goals for ham radio this year. It's probably not going to happen. I've got so far as to programming in the ISS frequencies into HT. That's the extent so far. I don't know if I'll hit that goal this year. But it's definitely something I want to do. I think it'd be a fun, and it's like a fun challenge, that to have to figure out, and some of the planning, because some of the planning stuff that goes into POTA or building antennas, some of the research and the planning is just as fun as the operating. And so figuring out and learning about the passes, when they're going to be, what are going to be good passes, and everything, and then learning how to aim. And I think that's so cool, to be able to point and hit that bird. I don't know if it's thousands or hundreds of miles away or whatever.
So I did a great video on this probably about 2 months ago, chasing weather satellites. and doing
Yes.
the weather satellite download. And so, I mean, go out and check my channel out. I mean, I'll put a cheap plug in for that, but it's a great video on that. And then I'm wanting to do another one like that just for doing satellites. But if you want to get into satellite operation, Digital Rancher, I think, does some of the best satellite stuff out there.
Yes.
He does a really good job across the board on that. But it is a little bit of a skill to learn. It is very good. But I mean, if you have I'm going to put a link if I can get it to go. Well, I'll figure it out in a minute. But there's called the B antenna. It's kind of like the Arrow antenna. It's about the same price, but it's a little bit lighter weight, I think. And it's a great antenna to be able to try and use as well. And so, I mean, there's a couple of good options, and I'd say Arrow or this B antenna is probably your top two choices for being able to do that satellite type of work. And again, I'll put a link in the description here in just a minute here. So
I like the elk. I gotta give a shout out to the elk antenna. I know that Digital Rancher Robert uses that and some others. The elk,
yep, that's a good one too. That's true.
Dual band log periodic is nice, and that gets a lot of use for me in the VHF contests and stuff. But that's real easy. You know,
I love the elk. The elk is way smaller than the freaking Arrow antenna. I mean, you have to literally have like muscles in your arm, wrist, head.
And that's what I learned that even doing when I did when I got to borrow the Alinco HT for 900 megahertz for 33 centimeters, and I had the little Yagi for that, and again, this is 900 megahertz, so it was like a 14 or 16 element Yagi, and it's only like this long or whatever. But when you have to hold that there, like my forearms were sore the next day. I could not, but like it's real. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like I got to switch hands and.
But I think I'd have to go back and look specific because I don't know what the elk poses for gain right off the top, but I know the Arrow antenna is really good on that. So. I have to, again, I don't have that top of my head, but I think you might find a little bit of a difference there. And maybe it's not significant enough to make a difference, but I mean, you're right. You just start doing a satellite pass, and those weather NOAA satellites are like 15 minutes long. I mean, you got an ISS pass is maybe 6-8 minutes tops, and you get a NOAA satellite doing it for 13-15 minutes, and you're going really slow. And, I mean, it does get heavy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Eric. So it can be a little tough.
This is truly the DX of VHF, UHF. You know what I mean? Being a DXer, that's so cool. Satellites to me, it's kind of what's drawing me there. Like, I want that, how far can you go? You know what I mean? It's cool.
Yeah, and there's Eric out in Hawaii has done a lot with satellites, and he's talked. I know there's a certain footprint of coverage depending on how high or low in orbit the satellite is. It's going to limit the footprint of like where you can cover, and how far out that you can get with it. And I think that's even like a neat factor. And I would imagine for us on the East Coast, it might be a little bit easier to get into Europe, but then also get further out to, towards the West in the US and everything. We might be in a pretty, I don't know how much there's going to be once you get a little bit further north, than Ontario, there's not a whole lot. But yeah, no, I think we might be in a good position to maybe take advantage of the footprint you get from the passes.
Well, thank you, Hebnetics, there for the $5 super chat there. Appreciate that.
That's a true statement, Mike, because I'll be honest with you. One of my first lows, even before ham radio, is I'm a medium wave DXer. I've noticed being up here in the Northeast, going that way to Europe, it's like night and day compared to being farther south or whatever. So I think using that same analogy from like maybe hitting a satellite and coming down in Ireland, the UK, and then that western part of Europe is probably very possible with with satellite.
Very cool. Well, so
let's see how many countries we can work with the bow thing next year, Walt.
Challenge noted. Challenge noted. Very cool. All right. Well, let's get into my favorite kind of section here because we're obviously getting here almost in the top of the hour, but second hour, I should say. We're way past the first hour. This is almost ham radio clubhouse territory. So yeah, let's talk accessories, guys, because my list is pretty long here, but who wants to kind of take the torch and run with it for accessories, this year? And
I'll run with it. The halibut halikey
Oh, nice. Okay.
So absolutely, that's going to be, I think, be one of the top notch products of the year that he's come out with. I think he came out with it this year. Maybe it was late last year, but I'll be using that for my push to talk when operating on a smart SDR for operating SmartLink through the Flex, and I'll be using that to key put in my push to talk or my foot pedal to be able to operate the SmartLink through my computer, through my Mac. So one of those are arriving tomorrow. So I'm really excited about using that. I'm hoping to play with it tomorrow a little bit. So
it's got a couple other options too, as well. Like, I mean, that's like kind of why he created it originally, but he also like it's just kind of exploded in terms of the function and features it can offer. So yeah, good little device.
Yep. So cool. I think it's one of the cool ones of the year. So
yeah, I'm game with that one. Cool. What else? Anybody else got anything?
Accessory of the year.
Accessories that are brand new this year. Oh, yep, there it is. We're done. Yep, there it is. Those things.
The Wago's better than that.
those have been. Those are so helpful, and I can't believe it took Hams this long to kind of come up with that. Those are good. I picked up a couple at Hamvention, and I gotta look and see if there's a Black Friday deal on any of those Wago connectors and pick some up to do them from home. But,
Club Gear Online has them online. He's got them.
Trying to find the URL
I bought them from him.
Go to POTAgear.com or Club Gear.
Yeah, I'm trying to search the page to grab it. Yeah.
The other thing is I got really cool. I had a guy 3D print, but it's a little box like this, and it's got a switch on the top, and it's got a power pole on this side and a power pole on this side, and it's got a fuse in there. And anyway, you can just plug your power poles into that. You can flip whatever you need on and off. Now it's a 3D printed. I mean, just a little homemade jobber, but I mean, pretty slick little device overall to have handy, you know?
Yep. So yeah, if you're looking for the gadget of the year that's been, overexposed, and this is actually what you should pay for these things, not the $25 to $30 I've seen at Hamfest.
Quicksilver sells them for $19 a piece.
Crazy.
Yes.
Like, dude, the parts are like no more than like $1.
I'll say it's got a little bit more than that invested in it. I know exactly what it is, being my brother, but yeah, it is a little bit more than that. And the thing is, I mean, you can tear it apart and dissect it and tell you exactly what it is. But in between the power pole and the Wago connector, there's I think it's a 10 or 12 gauge wire, and it has to be, just exactly like a certain length. And so he spent a ton of money. I mean, like $2,000 to buy a machine that cuts that wire, to that exact length. And he can print, cut, a couple hundred an hour on it, but it takes a long time to do that. And then you have to cut the heat shrink to each one and then heat shrink them all. I mean, it doesn't seem there's a lot in parts, but there's a lot of time involved in assembly and putting it together. And that's where it comes into for the time. So,
well, what I like about those, and I think we all know it's nice to have something like that in case you have a failure out in the field or when you're traveling or something like that, and an issue with the connector to have that. But I think about when I was a new ham and I didn't have power pole crimpers. I didn't know how to crimp power, to put power poles or any of that stuff on. It can be a little intimidating financially to have to spend X amount of dollars to buy crimpers, X amount of dollars to buy the connectors and everything else. And if you can, buy something, I'm not saying like a permanent solution, but you can buy something like that for $10 so that you can easily hook up your radio to your battery. I'm definitely all for that because it's, getting started from scratch in the hobby, it can be pricey. You start factoring in some of these tools and things like that you might not use a lot. They're incredibly helpful. And I obviously picked up, one of the power pole kits from, I think it was Gigaparts or something, where I got the crimpers and everything. But I think for people starting out, it's nice to have that option to just, clip them on and run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I've got one in my, I keep one in my toolkit. I keep one in my POTA bag. I keep one in the truck. Just never know.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else got a couple? Because I've got a few loaded here, but I want to see if you guys.
I've got something for. I mean, I know we've kind of gotten away a little bit. We're getting back to it, HF, but poles. Poles are an important thing if you're going to build portable. Mike knows. He and I both build a lot of
Mass.
HF vertical type antennas or whatever. I really think the best bang for the buck, and probably I'm not lying, and I'm friends with Callum, but I'll say this: the best purchase I ever made in ham radio was my DX Commander 10-meter expedition pole. That pole is amazing. It's small. I can like take it anywhere. I've flown with it. I've gone with it everywhere. And the one I have now is like beat to HELL, but it's still there. Just the pole itself, the expedition, everybody, like people ask me and they go buy the other 10-meter pole. The expedition pole is the pole that you can like, and it's under $100. I think you can get it right now at what is it? DX Engineering is selling it for that's not the expedition. That was too long. That's the regular 10-meter pole. The expedition
the smaller one.
Short, man. I mean, that thing's probably like maybe tops 30 inches long. It's small.
Yep.
But
I've got
if you look at my channel, every antenna I build that's like the halfway vertical for 20 meters, all that, I use the expedition pole. I think seriously, if you're a ham and you're thinking about going out and building antennas, you will not be sorry if you go out and get the DX Commander Expedition 10-meter pole. It's just a great. I think if you go up and just hit poles, I'm not sure they're.
Yeah, and the carbon fiber masts have their place if you're really concerned about weight and portability and stuff, like especially like soda. But you get a fiberglass pole, and then you don't need to worry about doing verticals, something that Walt's really passionate about. And, and if you got that 10-meter, you're pretty much set for, a whole host of verticals you can make with that, from like Rybakovs to quarter waves on 40 meters and end-fed half waves on 20 and everything in between. Like, you got that covered with a pole.
All you need is that pole and some electrical tape. Tape the wire to the pole, and you're rocking and rolling. So,
well,
I know
funny you say that because
it's got a book coming out with a whole lot of antennas you can put on that.
We're gonna touch base on that in a second, I'm sure. But the 10-meter pole, I like in my video that'll be coming out soon. I've got a one for my mobile HF setup, but I mounted my 10-meter pole, the DX Commander, inside under the lip of the truck bed. So literally I bought the hitch. I had to shave off the original like kind of rough edges on the bottom of the 10-meter pole from DX Commander, but now I can slide it in my hitch mount, and literally in one of the videos that's coming out soon for me, I've got the 10-meter pole up, my Reliance antenna fed off of it, and I went even as far as putting a little bulkhead connector on the back of the bumper that feeds into the truck. So now I can just feed the antenna right at the bottom of the bumper, and I'm on the air on a wire antenna. And I was like, oh, this is so much fun. So
and the other option, very similar to what you're talking about, what I do all the time is I have one of those drive-on flagpole stands.
Yeah, similar. Yep.
And I just, it's in the back of my Jeep right now. I just drive on that, tape the wire to the pole, drop it in the stand, and then run. I mean, I can basically run a small, 15, 16 feet of coax right into the dash of the Jeep, probably choke it. And then if it's pouring down raining or what I'm expecting a New England winter here, I'm going to be doing a whole lot of sitting in the Jeep at the beach, when it's like 25 degrees outside and operating. So it's pretty cool.
Matt's got a good question there. Spider Beam 10-meter or Expedition? Like, I don't know. They're both good in, good mass.
If you're going with a Spider Beam, get to 12.
I don't want,
yeah, right. Go bigger.
Bad about Spider Beam because I'm sure it's great. At Dayton, I bought the 12-meter Spider Beam pole. That thing I feel like I'm carrying a center block when I'm trying to get to me. So I don't know.
Good to know.
Their 10-meter pole, I don't know. I don't know where their 10-meter pole does, but their 12-meter pole is it's a great pole. But I mean, yeah, it's great for me to pull up in the Jeep and use it. But if I'm going to walk down to the beach, that thing is heavy. I mean, it is super, super heavy. And that's why I love that Expedition pole so much. I'll be honest with you. My 10-meter DX Commander Expedition pole is easier to carry to the beach than my 7-meter pole. I've literally made short antennas and taken the 10-meter pole, because the Expedition 10-meter, because it's easier to carry than the 7-meter pole.
That Spider Beam is pretty beefy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I have the
section.
12-meter one, and it's like I was so proud when I bought that thing. I was so excited about it. And now I took it out of one activation and I almost had a heart attack. I'm like, holy cow, that thing's heavy.
Yeah. I remember you picked it up and I saw the deal and I'm like, ooh, that would be so much fun to get that. And then I saw you and you told me you bought it and I was like, oh, I went back and I was staring at it at the spider beam table and I was like, not yet. I'll wait for my MFJ to break or something.
Yeah,
But
you're okay. I mean, like I said, I don't ever want to say anything about a ham product that people are trying to play. It's a great antenna. It's a great pole. It's a really good pole if you're going to put something permanent in your backyard and use it permanent forever. For when you're huffing it down through, through sand or whatever, or going to a POTA activation or whatever, and you're carrying everything, or you're going to. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how anyone would do a SOTA activation with that pole because you're going to be like, you're going to stroke out before you get to the top of the hill. It's just heavy.
And Mike, my advice is you might want to go to a smaller antenna. The Rybakoff, car antennas. Those things are beefy and heavy. They, they'll break a couple of masts on you, no problem.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of the
right.
amazing how popular that antenna got. You know what I mean? Like even now, I saw a video yesterday. I think HOA Ham's using the Chameleon 25-foot telescopic whip. He's kind of joined at the hip with Chameleon. That's he's all about Chameleon. But it's interesting how that antenna has really taken off and done well. I mean, it's kind of funny. When I first researched that antenna, the only thing I could find on it was a couple things on the internet. And Tim G5TM, that's all that was out there. And I was like, okay. And it's funny because I found that I'm always the guy when I do a video, I don't want to copy somebody or step on somebody else's, thunder or whatever. And I contacted Tim before. I was like, hey, Tim, I found this antenna, the Rybakoff. You're the only person I've seen that's done a video on it. He goes, yeah, well, go for it, whatever. And if you notice my very first Rybakoff video, I mentioned Tim in it, but it's funny how popular that antenna has been. Now, Mike, you did videos on it once again. Mike, I think you used my sketches in it. Mike's like, all right, Walt, I'm doing this. I was like, go for it, dude. You need to try this antenna because me and Mike are friends or whatever. But it's kind of funny how the Rybakoff has taken off in the last 2 years.
The videos I did on the Rybakoff, and that's the difference with Walt and I. Walt will say Rybakoff, I'll say Rybakoff.
It sounds more meaningful.
It's
menacing.
When I did it, those were the first videos I made, as a newer YouTuber that got, thousands of views. I was like, whoa, this thing, you said it best when you said, the Rybakoff took off, because that's what it comes down to with that antenna is it's about takeoff. And it's just short enough on 10 meters where you're going to avoid the lobes in pushing a lot of the RF up too high. And so you're going to get really good gain on the low takeoff angles from everything from 10 up through 30. 40 is going to be questionable. You're a little short of a quarter wave. You're close to a quarter wave on 30, and I've had good luck with it on 30 for FT8, but you get fantastic takeoff angles. So if you're into DX like Walt, and if you want something with a small footprint where you can just, straight up vertical up a mast and, put out a couple radials. It'll perform fantastic. The only hitch is, you need a tuner that'll, bring everything into line. But what you might lose, and, people get caught up in the SWR and, the antenna is not efficient or whatever. There's more than just, how efficient is the antenna. You look at things like the radiation patterns and the takeoff angles, and all that comes into play. And, so I don't need them. Dipoles are fun, and I use them often, but you don't need to have like that perfect antenna. and the Rybakoff is nice.
If you break it down at the end of the day, it's all about decibels, not SWR and wattage. And how many dBs are you getting out? Yeah, you're going to have loss on an antenna like that, but look like me. I'm 20 watts. Okay, so we'll do the theory. With the Rybakoff, a perfect antenna, let's just say I'm putting out one isotropic, one, and then the loss or whatever. Now I'm putting out like 0.9. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? It's like you're really still getting that signal out. You know what I mean? It's like that's where I've always said people overthink it. But getting back to the Ribikoff, you know, that and where we started down the road with a 10-meter pole. The thing about the Ribikoff is it is 7.6 meters long. So you do need pretty much either a 10-meter pole, or you need to take a 7-meter pole and maybe like tape. Well, I do this a lot with my 7-meter pole. I got like another little stick or something. I'll tape it on the top of it and run the wire all the way up to the top of the pole.
Yeah, there's a few other folks in the chat mentioning Reliance antennas. I wholeheartedly agree. They are great, small form factor antenna, but a lot of, might with those antennas for sure. So if you haven't checked them out, you can definitely go over to Reliance Antenna. They're, widely used in the YouTube community. I know, Matt, we all know Matt well here. He's a big near participant. And so, yeah, we love his antennas, and he's doing some awesome stuff with that stuff. Yeah. So cool.
Yeah, there is definitely in the mast world, there's definitely a vacancy for 8-meter masts. You'll see a lot of that are like the 7-meter or so, but the 8-meter, like if somebody came out with an 8-meter carbon fiber mast that did collapse down to a reasonable size, to
like
make
even
it
17 inches is fine. Like I mean, that's doable in a pack. I mean, that's like the size of a trekking pole if you're going to use it for soda.
But the 8 meters would be nice to see.
The squirrel's turning in my mind now. If you guys have seen Sean AM Radio Dude, he's like gone out and got the 6-meter mast. I think we need a Coastal Waves and Wires 8-meter mast.
Yes.
I got to find the maker.
All right. Well, any other additional accessories? I got a couple myself, but I'll leave it open to you guys if you got to throw anything in the ring.
There was like, let me pull this up. Who Jody in the chat mentioned the
the crowbar,
the mini bar. I still got to pick one of these up, but the crowbar circuit, that was phenomenal. That's a nice little easy bit of kit to pick up, and something that can be very helpful. I don't have anything set up I don't have a shack at my house. Everything I do is portable, so I haven't like gravitated towards something like that much. But I got to pick something up. That's nice.
Okay, so I haven't. I'll throw this in the ring because I know no one's mentioned it yet. But I'm a big 891 user. We all know. So no one's mentioned the DR891. Like that is a phenomenal. Like I can't tell you how awesome the 890. That whole 891 DR DigiRig setup is. I'm trying to find the page. Here we go. This little device is like I had the original, and the original was awesome. But the original had like 4 cables. Now, again, I'm only saying that we boiled it down to 3 cables, but like it just freaking works out of the box. I mean, I have been super impressed with the 891 and being able to hook it up on my radio with the 891, and it's been just flawless. And so it definitely holds the main spot in my pack for being able to do digital when I do digital. Nice. I'm a big sideband guy, but yeah, the 891 for the money and the setup of it is perfect. I mean, they definitely stepped it up. They provide all the cables, and the only thing you have to provide is a USB-C cable. So, you put a little, RF choke on the end of it, and, you'll be good to go, or a ferrite choke, I should say, not RF choke. And on the USB-C side, and you're off to the races. It's a great little, setup there for 891s if you got one. So I would say run out and grab one.
I'll stick with the old school one that I've got.
Again, you're not going to miss much if you got one already. You're not going to see much more of a gain by going to the 891. But if you got an 891 and you don't have one before, that's the way to go. The
FT8's not real radio anyway.
Oh,
just kidding.
You're a huge embarrassing failure.
Oh my gosh! Wow. That was harsh. Wow. That hurt.
Yeah, really, no joke.
But if you get your WinLink address, fixed and
nope,
squared
never.
away, you can use it for
never. I got Paul for that. I'm good.
I'm over here, like sitting on my hands right now.
So send all my WinLink email to Paul N1OG. I'll pick it up there. All right, so I've got one that is kind of turning me on. To CW. I'm not a CW guy. I struggle with it. I hate it. But Mike, if you guys all catch the video Mike did, K Murder did with the the new nameless modern Morse key. You guys see that?
Yep.
I have not.
I'm not.
This
no.
one, beautiful. I mean, like, this would turn me to become a CW guy just alone. This thing is so, like, it's built out of a chunk of aluminum. The paddles are aluminum. The innards and everything are all, like, designed. Like, go check out the video, and Paul, if you can grab the link from K Murder's page on this one, when he did the review of it. He's coming out with like a whole bunch of different like colors and, you know, function, you know, so you can interchange all these parts. So like if you want to change the top to be like yellow and the bottom to be black, you could do that. He's really just like making this like the thing, but it literally is a full keyer, iambic keyer, and it's like a tank, but it's super small. And like I'm looking at going, man, for $215, I'd be a CW guy. I mean, like, this is just like one of those cool little keyers. And from, if you look at Mike's video,
did you say $215?
Yeah, but it's aluminum. It's 100% aluminum. Like the whole thing is like carved out of a block of aluminum. I mean, and all the innards and everything. And I like the video.
So you could
like
probably tune it with a G90.
You could tune it with anything, right? Like, God, this thing is, you know, this is beautiful. This is like turning me, and I'm sure there's some CW guys maybe here in the chat, but yeah, this is a little, you know, a nice key. I you know, I might actually pick CW up because of this key. It's the, you know, that, you know, cool. So, but yeah, I would say go check out Mike's video on that one. It was really like, I was like, yeah, CW key, and then I watched it. I was like, oh man, that's a nice key. Ooh, I like that feature. And you know how it goes with those rabbit holes.
Yeah, I just bought one from CWMorse.us. It was like $68 for it because it's like, all right, am I really going to get into CW this next year or not? But it's like, all right, I'll spend $60 on a key just to play with it and practice with it a little bit, just to start out with. But you're right, that is a sweet little key. I like that kind of aluminum build on it and everything. I like that. That looks sharp. So
yep. Yeah, it's really, he really designed it to like be repairable in the field. So like literally everything is, you know, he has a replacement part for it. So it's like kind of like you buy the base model and then, you know, you basically add on and create your own key customized to your liking and your feel. And, you know, it's really pretty cool. So
I'm going to say this, and this isn't against CW. This is how bad I am. This New Year's Day will be the 4th year in a row. My New Year's resolution will be to master
to try CW. I'm with you, Walt. I'm with you.
I may sound really crazy. We're going to put a little plug in for him, but the Long Island CW Club, if you want to learn how to do it,
yeah,
that's where you really go and start.
I've been on that road, and then I just get sidetracked. It's just me.
Well, that's where I'm at right now. I started going down that road. I got a little sidetracked here, so I got to get back into it. I got to download their schedule, so I have a more of a regular routine to do it. But that's where I want to go with it this next year. So
the great thing about those guys, though, is when you fall off, right? They send you an email and they say, "Hey, listen, we realize you've been away. For $60, you could be a life member and just pick it back up whenever you get around to it."
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, because I know at some point I'm going to get back into it. And I got a key on Amazon that it's got some nice magnets, got great reviews. And so it should be the really good portable POTA key. I just gotta get back into it.
Yep. I'm with you. All right. Well, any other ads that we got for accessories?
I can't think so. I can't think.
I got one.
Okay.
You know, and this came out this year, was the Mad Dog coil. That was an antenna pick. I'm a big vertical guy. I love, you know, vertical antennas, and I'm all about coils and whatnot. And so, hopefully, I've got a little review coming up, a little plug here on a matchup against the, you know, Mad Dog coil, the Wolf River coil, and the Res antenna, and see how they all stack up against each other. But yeah, I love my Mad Dog coil. It's an awesome trade-off. Great construction, super portable, super light, works, you know, well. And you know, I use it every time I get a chance to get outside. And you know, my Wolf River coil I sort of use, but it's taken kind of backseat to the Mad Dog. So you know, I love that. I have
the Mad Dog as well, and I'm going to say that you are spot on. It is a great coil.
Yep. Yeah, he He's done some awesome stuff. He sent me the 80 attachment, and that 80 coil, I could grab it in the back, but the thing is like a tank, and you put it on top of your 40, and it's like, that's not going to hold it. It's way too big, but I got to go play 80 someday with it.
I was thinking about getting out tomorrow and trying to work like tomorrow night, work 40 and 80. I might actually take the Mad Dog out and do it. Like,
cool.
I'm kind of like Wolf River Coil, Mad Dog, Wolf River Coil, Mad Dog. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a great antenna. I mean, a great coil. It really is.
Totally. All right, cool. Well, any other you want to throw in the ring, or we're going to kind of wrap this up because we're getting a little long here, but all good conversation tonight for sure. Hopefully folks got
we gotta get to we got that one little sneak peek we got to get to.
Oh yes, right. Yes, I told you, man. Thank you, Mike.
I teased a couple people in the chat about it.
So let's open it for the floor here a little bit. We're going to talk a little Steve Mike. So Mike, if you want to take the controls here and kind of dive into a little bit, I'll control the stuff in the background here.
Let's see how this goes. So let's see. All right, Walt, run with it, buddy.
Guys. All right. So the book is going to the editors. This if people know me, the Salty Walt's portable antenna sketchbook is going to the editors. I'm going to finish it up this weekend. It'll be there Monday. This is a little sneak peek of some of the sketches. It's going to be like 20 chapters, about 20 different antennas. I'm going to put a little sketch in for each antenna. Obviously, what you're looking at here is the quarter wave vertical. I am a I'm an engineer, but I started out as a draftsman on the board with pencils by hand. So when I build an antenna, I usually sketch it up real quick and decide what I'm going to do. And over the last 2 or 3 years, I put them on social media. People are like, "Oh man, I want that. I want a copy of that. I want, whatever." So I'm very, very blessed that the ARRL is going to, publish this book, and I'm getting close to it. So little sneak peek of what you're going to see in the book or whatever is stuff like this. So if you're an antenna builder, there you go. I also like, if you don't even have to do the math, you can you want to do a quarter wave vertical antenna, I did it for you if you're an SSB guy, stuff like that. So here's this. I wanted to do a little sneak peek of some of the easy, just the sketch parts of it. What I'm doing. There's going to be a lot of what you'll see with each antenna will be the antenna itself, a little narrative of how I built it, some of the equipment, what I used for it. There you go. This is the one of my favorite antennas, a vertical infed half-wave for 20 meter bandwidth. You're going to see a lot of stuff like this. The Ribicoff will be in the book. I did not send the Ribicoff sketch, and this is just a couple I sent over to Mike to just kind of show. But yeah, guys, from the American Radio Relay League, probably right after the first of the year will be my book. It's coming out. It is the Salty Walt's, portable antenna sketchbook, and you're going to see a lot of sketches that I've done, along with all the material that's going to take to build the antenna, a little bit of thought behind each antenna, and a lot of pictures from where I actually built every antenna. There's going to be 20 different antennas in the book that I'm going to put in the book. 20 different antennas. I've built every one of them more than once, and I'll put my results in there, as well as kind of a little bit of background on it as well. So I'm so blessed that the league contacted me and wanted me to put this book together. I did kind of want to tonight, kind of like, just, this is the first time you've seen it. There you go. If people that follow me or are on my other social media have seen other sketches I've done. I've cleaned, as you can see tonight, I've kind of cleaned them up and put a little bit more effort into them. And there you go, guys. It's coming out. I'm thinking it's going to be out hopefully before Hamcation in Orlando. So probably by the end of January. That's really up to how many back and forth we go through the editors or whatever. But it's getting ready to get published. And I said this, you'll see it in the book if you buy the book or whatever. If you're looking for the Mozart symphonic, excellent antenna building book, you don't want this book. You want the ARRL antenna book. If you're looking for like the garage band, Jimmy Buffett, hey, let's cut some wires and go out and build an antenna, this is going to be the book for you. And I'm, like I said, I'm getting ready to get the book out. And anyway, guys, all of you, thanks for letting me kind of show that at the end here. That is the first. Mike has it. This is the first sneak peek of like the new sketches that I've done for the book, and there we go.
It's going to be really cool to see that, because they're going to take some of this. It's going to end up in the antenna book. I can't wait to see it in there. Like
Salty Walt section.
I seriously, I'm so excited for you in that. I think that's cool. They're going to have at least some of those sketches are going to get lifted and put in an antenna book at some point.
The one antenna in the book, there are two antennas that I will personally say that are my antennas. The 17.5, that's me all the way. Yeah. No one ever called that antenna. I mean, let's be honest, it's just a 17.5 foot piece of wire in the air. But I kind of like really did a lot with that and adding the 4-to-1 to it or whatever. But the one antenna, if it makes it to there, I will like, it'll be the most thing ever. It's the Coastal 20. I know, Mike, you've built it. I've kind of really perfected that antenna. That antenna started out with a 9-to-1 on. I went to a 4-to-1 on. And now I'm using a 4-to-1 Ballon on the Coastal 20, and which will be in the book. And it's like, boom. I experimented with different. I mean, I built that antenna now probably 40 times, and like 5 of them on video. The other ones were just me trying to make this antenna right. That antenna is going to be in the book, and if the K4OGO Coastal 20 antenna makes it to the ARRL antenna book, I'm good. I'm done. I'm retired. I made it. So that's where I'm at with it. But anyway, guys, thanks for that. I just kind of want to, like I said, this is, I kind of don't want to spam it too much with those sketches or whatever. Mike is a dear friend of mine. I sent him to him and said, hey, we can talk about this a little bit tonight, but there you go. The book, I'm going to lock the doors this weekend and just go back and check everything I've done and kind of edit it and whatever. And then Monday, I'm sending the final draft off to the ARRL, and hopefully this book will be out.
Awesome.
We'll see how many rotations through editing it takes, but hopefully it'll be out in the first of the year. And I know this sounds cliche, but I am freaking blessed that they chose me and asked me to do this. I'm really excited about it.
Oh, we're all excited for you, Walt.
You should be proud of that.
Awesome. Yeah, totally.
Well, thanks.
All right. Well, so let's kind of put a little bow on this. Again, thank you everybody in the chat. It's been an awesome conversation to see. We've had about 34, almost 40 people in the show tonight. So appreciate you guys all hanging out with us. And I know we went a little long, but it was an awesome conversation for sure. So let's kind of go around the horn real quick, and you can kind of just let us know what's going on with your channel and what's going on in the future. And we'll start with you, Mike. Go ahead.
Oh, Jesus. I was about to reply to John in the chat. You can't do two things at once. I am not a multitasker, and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
We all are.
I just did a video on my little VHF Go kit, which is just, kind of what I have ready to go when I'm traveling for work, family vacations. I've flown with it, whatever. It's just, some of the gear I bring with my HT, the Yaesu 4XR, so that I can play radio on the road. But I did a video this summer or back in the fall, I can't remember when, on my ICOM 705 bag. And anytime I do these videos where I kind of take what I got in my bag, and I'll preface it by saying this, I don't stage it or anything. Like, I don't go through and make sure everything's in there perfect. Like, I legit open the bag up, like, this is what's in it now, because as I'm going through there, like, I always get thinking like, oh, do I need this, or I'm missing this? And and it's helpful. And so I did that VHF kit, and I already started thinking, how can I minimize this? What do I really need? Do I need all this or not? And I want to do something smaller that I can stick in my wife's car, so there's always something there. But I wanted to do something with the 705 because, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, I got a new car. I don't have a radio installed in there. I'd like to do something at some point, but I want to have the opportunity to play radio easy and not have to, even something as simple as grabbing and going. Though I want to be able to already have what I need with me, so that if the opportunity arises, like it did yesterday, and I had an opportunity to do a quick POTA, I have what I need. And so I minimized my 705 bag. I'll probably shoot the video this week and what I did and the bag that I'm using and, the gear that I put in there. But yesterday was really that first test where I was leaving work and I was like, hey, I got time. I can swing by and do a quick POTA. I got just under an hour of free time and, got out to a twofer, got set up on 40 meters, and like in less than an hour with a 705, I got I think it was like 50 something contacts. It was phenomenal. Like I did great. And I had a blast. And I want that opportunity, being a dad and being on the go with the kids and practices and work and everything else, like to kind of have the bare minimum of what I need to play radio when the opportunity comes up. So I'll be working on that bag and kind of hopefully testing this out, because when we do things like this is kind of what we learn. Like, what do we really need? What do we not need? And it'll be interesting because I can only fit so many antennas in there. And so I'll experiment with it, with whether it's with, an end fed and a resonant antenna, or I can still fit the tuner in there if I want. And I got the Reliance 9-to-1. And so I'm going to try some different combinations and stuff, but it's fun. So I'm looking forward to getting that out there soon. And no contest this weekend. So hopefully I can sneak out and play a little bit.
Mike, real quick, what do you use for a tuner for the 705? Do you use the ATU 705?
I got the MAT 705.
Oh, the MAT 705. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it.
I use the MAT 705. I think it's like 705 plus or whatever. It's the USB-C rechargeable one.
Yep.
I got a deal on it. I bought my 705 used and I got the tuner used. That was on eBay, and it's worked out good. So far, so good. I don't use it all the time. Obviously, if I'm using a Rybakoff or something, I got to use it. But I don't use it a whole lot. But it's nice to have that option. And like I didn't pay much for it at all. It was a steal. So.
Very cool. Well, appreciate that, Mike. Definitely looking forward to it. And I'm just going to say, caveat wise, I'm going to do a stage an Instagram TikTok where we stick like an old pair of boxers in your antenna bag. And so when you actually do an unveiling of your bag, lo and behold, it's live and we get a little bit of a rise out of that. So be kind of fun. All right,
whose
cool.
panties are these?
Yeah, exactly. So with that, over to you, Paul. How what's going on in your channel, and what can you do to wrap things up?
Well, so I want to say this has been a great conversation. I broke my 7-meter Tenkara mast, so I'm going to be shopping around for a Black Friday deal on a new mast. I got a couple to watch now. Big thing upcoming on my channel is on the 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're doing a live stream for the 2,000 subscriber giveaway. Long overdue, but I appreciate all of the subscribers and everybody that's watching the Weekend Warriors podcast and Live Free and Ham podcast and all of the other shenanigans that I put out there on the YouTubes. So we're going to be giving away the Gigaparts Explorer bag, a Baofeng UV5X3, a tactical emergency knife, and some other Live Free and Ham and Flag and Torch swag. So don't miss that. Go to my channel for those details. And thanks for being here, everybody.
Very cool. Well,
Radio Shack.
So with that, I'm going to actually be Paul's Frank, hopefully. So, you can all make fun of me, and I'll be helping running the levers in the background there. So that'll be fun opportunity for me because, I don't usually have the opportunity to be in the background, but whatever. So cool on that. Glad you hit the 2,000 subs and looking forward to some awesome videos going in the future. So with that, Marvin, how and where can we find you, and what's been going on, and what can we expect out of you in the future?
Yeah. So I've got, again, I just said, hey guys, thank you. Appreciate it. First of all, yeah, you're right. This was a great episode. I got 3 more subscribers out of this. So we're almost, we got 90. We're going to try and get to 100 yet before the end of the year. So thank you for those folks who have subscribed. I've got 6 more podcasts coming out before end of the year. And there should be some really good ones talking about some stuff that's good for 2025. Talking about different memberships, even of all the things you can belong to and the opportunity cost that comes with those, and the benefits and stuff that you get back. It's just kind of a little teaser, and things like that. So I've got some really good topics coming out on that. and I've got an interview showing up with a video coming out. I'm just waiting on a little bit of audio I need to figure out on the I'm trying to record offline for that video. And then again, I've got that Ham Radio Guy podcast coffee. My Shopify site will be coming out, so I'll be posting that on Twitter, and we'll try and put it out here on N1JUR's Discord channel as well. And so I appreciate your support there. And I just continue to grow. I mean, this has been a tremendous year of growth for me. I started YouTube for the first time, and this year in January, and it's been a really great opportunity. I've got a great Patreon channel, still trying to grow that. I want to give away an FTM 300 here in the next 2 weeks or so. So I'd like to get a few more paid subscribers on the Patreon channel, but so I can give that radio away. But I'll give that away right before Christmas and get a new FTM 300 out the door. So anyway, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's listening and everybody that's there. And, I got, again, a lot of podcasts and stuff coming out. So stay tuned, and appreciate you listening. And I'm over 10,000 downloads. So it's been great.
Sweet. Awesome. Yep. Well, if you haven't subbed to any of our channels, they're all links in the chat there. So if you want to go show some love to Marvin and everybody else here, you're
Absolutely.
guaranteed to receive some awesome content. And, these guys, I love hanging around with them, because I'm always impressed and always learn something new every day. As Paul says, I feel like, ham radio makes me feel dumb, but, around you guys, I feel smart. So, all good. All right, cool. Well, over to you, Walt. So what's going on? And, anything you want to share with us to kind of close out tonight?
First off, I want to say this. I truly mean this, because I've been in a lot of, I've been with, the coffee guys, the European guys, everybody. It seems like the times I've been with you guys, these are the most intelligent and really true great streams that I've been. This was a great stream. We got to talk about. We talked about good stuff. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoy being with you guys. So I'm thanking you profusely for inviting me tonight. I enjoyed it immensely. As far as the channel, like I said, I'm gonna kind of really shut the door and engulf myself in finishing up the book this weekend. I do want to build a quarter-wave vertical for 40 meters. I might get out tomorrow night. The one thing about being in New England, it gets dark up here. Northern boys, I'm a oyster shucking Southern coastal cowboy, and it don't get dark till 5:30 there. Up here, it gets dark so fast that I get off work and I got to deal with darkness. So I'm really thinking for the channel itself, probably over the next few weeks, maybe the next couple, 2-3 months, you're going to see a whole lot of 40, 60, 80 meter for me. I got to get out at night when I get off work and operate portable. So I'm going to start building some antennas down that, going down that path. And I might even tomorrow night, I want to, even though I'm busy and I got a lot going on, I am going to work. I'm going to shipyard to work tomorrow for 8 hours in the morning, but and then wrapping myself around the book or whatever. I do want to get out and operate this weekend. So I'm thinking about building a 40, like I said, a quarter-wave vertical for 40. I might do a video on that. Sometimes I like to just go out and operate and turn the camera off and have fun with that as well.
There's something about that, man. That is definitely something that I suggest everybody do.
Yeah. So, as much as I do love YouTube and love, making films or whatever for it or whatever, sometimes, I just like doing it. The funny thing is, and you guys, Marvin, you're talking about getting up to a certain point and, everybody, Mike, whatever. The funny thing you'll find out is, as your channel grows and grows and grows, it's sometimes hard to do that without the video on, because as soon as you key up and say who you are, people, they recognize you from, and I'm coming up on 25,000 subscribers. So I'm having a hard time being anonymous when I'm operating. And I'm not complaining. That's a good thing, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just want to just be a regular guy operating or whatever. And you kind of lose that a little bit. Although when people go, "Oh, I love your channel" or whatever, it's so flattering, and I love it. I do, but
it's humbling.
Yeah, it's humbling as well. It really is. It's humbling. Yep. I think the thing that excites me more than anything was, and I get this, I got 2 of them today in the channels, was I was an operator for 50 years. I quit ham radio and was done with it. I started watching your channel and you ignited me to get back into ham radio. Those, to me, that and the new guys, the guys that are I'm going to get my ham license because I enjoyed watching your channel. those are the ones that really excite
That's
me.
worth
So,
it right there.
yeah. So those are the ones that really excited for me. But you guys, I mean, like I said, that's really where I'm at right now. And all in all, man, you guys, hey, I want to like keep coming back with you guys. If I talk too much, tell me to quiet down. But I love being a part of the Northeast guys. I'm enjoying this so much. Like I said, I meant it when I first started talking. These feeds that we've done together, whatever you want to call these live streams, I think we stayed on topic and we touched on the points. You know what I mean? The HF items. I learned, you know, like I told you guys, tell me what I need as far as like operating sats, whatever. This live stream is really valuable, and I hope that like people that watched it got something out of it, because me even being here, I did as well. So thank you guys. You rock.
Well, we appreciate you, Walt, and everybody here for sure. You know, as always.
They think he's a righteous dude.
So, you know, with that, you know, like I said, with my channel, I've got a bunch of videos coming up, and they're, you know, I alluded to the DigiRig 891 that's coming up. I've got my truck video and a slew of other things that are all in the queue there. But, you know, I enjoy hanging out with you guys. This is kind of the relaxing scenario for me, because in essence, you know, I don't have to put any pressure to put a video together or cut a right angle or, you know, make sure I've got the antenna position just in the right, you know, view. So, you know, it excites me to just hang out with you guys and just have these chats and talk ham radio, because, you know, first and foremost, as Walt said, you know, the hobby is more important to me than, you know, the YouTube channel or any of the other, you know, stuff that kind of goes with it. And, you know, it is fun to, you know, have someone recognize you when you do a POTA and they're like, oh, yeah, I've got your channel, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, hey, first and foremost, I'm just a ham just like them. So all good stuff. So.
Yeah,
You know,
one more quick thing, if I can. Oh, when you're done, Eric.
Yeah.
Like,
no, go ahead. Yep, fire away.
Just the other thing is Winter Field Day coming around January 25th, 26th, something like that for 2024. And I mean, I know I won't be able to I might be able to make it on a December channel, but just, you know, for you guys watching, start thinking about those Winter Field Days and getting those put together in your plans, and go out and submit your location. I know I've had a lot of people go, hey, how can I find the local location for somebody doing Winter Field Day? Go out to our site and put it on the map where you're operating, either private or publicly, and it lets people know, and we appreciate it too. So.
Yeah, totally. Marvin, I'm sure, is going to be doing the circuit around for Winter Field Day.
Yep,
you know,
we're going to start that very soon.
And so we're looking forward to having him on Live Free and Ham too as well. So you know, stay tuned for that. But you know, outside of that, you know, Winter Field Day is Winter Field Day for me is low key in sense it's more camaraderie and playing radio than say ARL Summer Field Day, where it's like a lot more public stuff.
It's eating chili and having a good time.
Yeah, totally, man, totally. If you're bringing chili, man, then I'm, you know, you're good in my book. You're aces in my book.
Absolutely. You don't do Winter Field Day without chili. Come on.
That's very true.
Where have you been?
Very cool. All right, well, kind of wrap this up. So, you know, obviously, you remember, head over to Get Hammed to pick up your pigs, because we want to spread the love there, and, you know, show that we love ham radio there. You can always get your set there. And if you haven't already, you know, make sure you click Marvin's link, subscribe to his channel, you know, check out his coffee, because I'm sure it's going to be some awesome stuff there. And as always, you know, we are excited, and we thank you, Walt, for, you know, contributing so much awesome stuff and creating a great book. It's going to be very, you know, informative, and, you know, we'll say the working man's antenna book, which, you know, I prefer to, you know, have in my arsenal than, you know, something that, you know, is a little bit more, you know, a formal, we'll say. Right. So, you know, with that, you know, as always, you know, you can head over to all of our channels and be part of that. But I'm losing my place here. So outside of that, I'd say, you know, hey, let's put a bow on this and wrap it up.
and thank you to thank you to the few super chats I got from Aaron, from Paul, from Jody.
Okay, cool.
And stuff. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate it very, very much. And thanks to everyone who's stuck with us for if you stuck with us for this long, or you tuned in late, you still got some good stuff. Thank you guys for being a part of this. I had a blast tonight. This was awesome. Yeah, it was fun. So thank you, thank you.
So yeah, if you're just jumping in now, we do this once a month. So, you know, keep an eye on all our channels. We all stream from our own channels here. So, you know, we all want to be a part of this, and we just love hanging out and talking about Northeast stuff. So go with that, man. With that, we'll say 7 3s and have a good night. And say, see you later.
7-3.